All right, and so for the beginning of round number 1, we are going to see the bomb sites go downstairs into the lockers and the CCTV room.
No surprise there.
No surprise. I mean, that is definitely the favored bomb site on this map.
And we're seeing a Thermite Hibana combo, which is really strong on a bomb site because there's a lot of hatches worth opening. There's actually 4 good hatches to open depending on where you want to rotate, as well as some walls that are worth opening. The garage wall, for example, or the wall from the servers. So definitely going to get some good use out of those 2 operators. And you see Valkyrie here. This is a typical one we see to take control of those stairs to server. And I imagine we'll probably see that again as well. That usually is pretty vital to a defense here.
Yeah, one of the things that we've seen kind of change as opposed to this CCTV room hold over the course of the qualifiers and over Season 3. Originally, everyone's thinking, okay, reinforce both walls inside of A facing the servers. What teams are starting to do now is, it looks like, reinforcing one wall and pre-opening up the other with shotgun holes.
Yeah. So, I mean, you really want to like think about where am I giving myself the flexibility to fight someone without having to come around a doorway, for example. So opening up those angles, as long as you know you can control them and not be used against you, is worthwhile. And it's also worth noting that Bank is, I believe, the final map that Continuum played to decide the Season 3 finals. And it was a very close match, which means Dexterity will know some of their weaknesses on this map. They will see like why it was a struggle for them. Now Continuum, of course, got to be considering, well, we know it was a struggle for us, we're going to work on it. So they've got to have some new stuff I expect to see from the last Season 3 finals. Yeah,
one of the operators we're seeing coming out of here is going to be Astro playing Twitch right now. And, I mean, this is an operator that is used very heavily to get rid of cameras early on, used for her F2, her FAMAS. It's just a tremendous weapon. And so we're going to see her actually coming on into the Skylight stairwell now.
We saw Astro playing a lot of good Twitch yesterday, though, so I'm not surprised.
Definitely. I mean, they've cleared out top floor. They know there's no roamers up here. But it looks like there might be one on the stairs here. I want to say that is Canadian possibly here. Yes, he's here.
Well, those hatches are open, too.
Now this is one tricky spot. Normally the drones aren't going to necessarily look all the way down the stairwell, so he's in a perfect position to come in for this flank.
Definitely one of those strategies you could tell he's worked out in terms of the actual angles. And that's one of the things that a lot of things in this game matter, but angles matter for sure.
This is very good for Canadian. He's managed to get up top undetected, no drone spotting him here, and he's right above the drop hatches. He's about to see Gohan here. As Gohan comes around, he gets 1, he gets 2! And there's going to be a second one, he's going to drop on over. He gets Panic and Astro to combine. Way to start off round number 1, picking up 2 kills. That's a Hibana and Twitch.
And he's got a way to rotate down quickly if he needs to as well.
Now Gohan's going to run right into NVK, but the flick from Gohan is going to get NVK right at the start there. Now a 4-on-3, still a minute 15 to go as Gohan's going to come down here. Young's already spotted him on the can. He knows that there's not much more life left in Ash as he heads down to about 10 health.
It's definitely going to factor in. He's not going to be able to play as aggressively, especially with all that barbed wire in that room.
The C4, I think, just got rid of most of it. We just heard Young throw that and destroy it. So with that, Gohan is now keeping an eye on the back of him, making sure that he's not going to get flanked from behind.
Especially since Canadian's still alive, but Canadian has rotated back downstairs.
We are seeing the 4 remaining defenders on site, 2 inside of B, 1 inside of A, and Canadians holding down that red stairwell, red hallway. Looks like Cameraman and Gohan both expect Canadian to be still inside of the open area, but they've managed to leave that blind spot. He was able to get downstairs undetected, and so now they're very skeptical of what's going on inside of this room.
I think Canadian really used the map flow against them on here. They're going to be a little more prepared for it the next time, but that was a great way to start showing that strategy we talked about from Canadian.
Definitely, and the 2 defenders that are inside of B right now are actually on the Valk cams, spotting it out for Young. Young now knows he's got to go against Silence in here. They're going to go back to MPX against the 5.56. Which one's going to win? It looks like Young is very low on health, and Silence is going to push in, but he does get domed by Canadian. However, Gohan is able to take up Young for the trade. The C4 comes flying, and right there is King George getting the kill right there on the Gohan. Now a 2-on-1 as Cameraman picks up 1 kill. He's got 2 more to go in 1 second, and it's not going to land, and Canadian picks up the kill.
See the excitement from Canadian there. That was definitely a good round for him. I believe it was 3 kills for him, starting with those 2 flicks. No, actually 4. It might have been a 4K for him, as he got picked up 2 downstairs as well, I think.
It was definitely one heck of a showing there for Canadian. I mean, we talked about how he's the strat person for their team. He's the one of the world's best counter stratists. He's also got the gun game too.
Yeah. As long as you know how to come around behind them like that, especially, definitely makes a difference. So now Dexterity, you're going to be put on the back foot, having the initial advantage of kind of the mystery around them, getting a little bit revealed yesterday. Now they're going to have to really play a little bit different, but they're going to be on defense now, so they're going to have to show a different setup. They didn't play this map yesterday, so Continuum doesn't necessarily have any intel on them for this particular map.
Yeah, I mean, as we see here, right here, a great 4K by Canadian. King George picking up the 5th kill there. Just marvelous showing by continuing on round number 1.
There's that angle we've seen used by other teams near the bars there to be able to shoot kind of from an angle through the bars into that doorway into server. So that's a good angle I imagine we'll see used if that server push happens.
Now what I'm curious to see is Astro actually getting all the way to the top floor. It looked like he might have been reinforcing a hatch or something. But typically, unless you're going to put a roamer top floor, you're not necessarily going to do too much up there.
Yeah, and reinforcing hatch kind of gives that away. So we'll see if they're planning to use that for anything. We saw, it looked like Continuum wanted to just open up tons of hatches, give Canadian tons of rotating opportunity, and he did use it, so.
So we're going to have Gohan and Astro inside of open area, looking back towards now. King George is going to spot him out here on the drone. Is there going to be a collapse in here in a moment?
They definitely don't want to give up open area easily, because once you take control of open area, it's easy to blow the hatch in that admin office and give yourself a lot of downward pressure into that CCTV room, which a lot of teams did as part of a lot of the Season 3 meta.
Yeah, it looks like here from Dexterity, we're going to see kind of a spot me out and then worry about where I move to.
Yeah.
Not a let's come around for a silent flank like we saw Canadian and the rest Continuum try.
If you can survive that, you can really burn up a lot of their time. You saw last time when they were looking for Canadian how much time that burned up on their clock, and that forced them to rush a little bit at the end with a lot less manpower than they expected. Definitely NVK expecting to find one of them in here.
Ooh, Canadian able to pick up Astro there right at the top floor, looking on down through the drop hatch. Still looking on through. Again, this is the same Hulk Canadian got 2 kills before. NVK's going to pick up one for himself here, taking down Gohan.
There's that 2-man team that Panky and Kicks were talking about, the Astro Gohan team, already taken down. That's going to be very strong, not losing a single man on the attack, not even getting hurt.
I mean, if Continuum can keep on getting those lurkers down, getting those roamers down, and early on, they still have 2/3 of the round left to go. It's going to be just Continuum all the way on this map.
Yeah, it's definitely looking very good for them so far. We know why they picked this map. It's not like they haven't played it before. And they've clearly got some good strategy, good movement through the map.
Now, NVK is still cautious of someone possibly peeping on through the servers, but he realized that, okay, there's a Valcam, no one's going to be there. But some bullets do go flying and just barely miss him. And
there's that angle I was talking about.
Yeah, you were talking about the angle from the main hallway looking through the jail wall right into the server room.
It's a good angle, and we've seen some great play from it on the European teams as well.
We are going to hear a couple more bullets getting flown in through Canadian. He's in the top of the drop hatch, going to throw a nade on down. That's going to force Panico to back on out. We might just see a plant come in here. The Cindier is going to go flying. King George has the diffuser in hand.
Go for that backwards plant.
The plant will go down. The C4 from Cameraman, though, going to land on a George. Canadian goes for another kill. He gets a double. He goes for the triple. And now it's a 4-on-1. Silence will down one, but he cannot get the kill. Necroc's there to pick up the slack.
Canadian still excited, showing the dominance from Continuum here. I don't think we expected it to go this strong to start with. Not that we haven't seen teams start off weak and come back strong. So I definitely am not writing Dex off in any way, but I'm definitely impressed by what Continuum's doing thus far.
7-0 for Canadian right now.
Yeah,
7-0.
He was the guy that jokingly, back when he was on like Orbit originally, we used to kind of joke that he was the guy who would play with a shotgun because he wasn't aiming so great. He was the good thinker. Now we're seeing, obviously he's improved at that aim even more than we expected, and just bring it. Like we've talked about before, killing's not everything, but a strategist who can kill and strat, deadly combination, and the rest of his team's not slouching either. We're seeing NVK picking up kills, King George picking up kills, even Necrox picking up kills. I mean, Young not picking up a ton of kills, not surprised. Like he's plays a lot of utility roles and stuff like that. So like kills aren't everything, but everyone's doing an awesome job so far in Continuum.
And to highlight on that, I think one of the things that makes this team so great is their ability to support each other. While Canadian's getting all these kills, you do have some of the counterintelligence coming from the rest of his team. So it's not just the Canadian show. Yes, he's taking advantage and capitalizing on the information he's given, but without the rest of his team being there for that supportive structure, he wouldn't be doing this well.
I think it's some great communication among the team. Like they said before, they're all friends. They joined this team because they were friends, and I think that lends itself sometimes to good communication because you feel comfortable talking to each other.
Yeah, now we've got NVK and Canadian roaming downstairs. Bomb site isn't going to be inside of Archives and Teller. That's typically the second bomb site from a lot of NA teams here.
It's an interesting bomb site to defend because it is naturally one you could be pinched from the main floor as well as from above. So it's one that's definitely harder to defend, but definitely better than the open area or the CEO office. So it is the second choice for that reason. But now, as you can see, for example, Glaz coming out here could be an interesting thing. We don't usually see Glaz in most of the metas. Occasionally, like EU would bring it out, like from Sizu, but it just kind of had fallen out. So
yeah, I mean, this is his first appearance here in the 6th Invitational. So Panico is going to be that first Glaz player.
So far, Santos has been the one to bring operators we don't expect, like Blitz, Caveira, Glaz, and so a lot more Twitch than we usually see.
So now you got my mind back on Blitz. So I'm hoping we see a Blitz later on today.
Yeah, it's definitely possible from this team since they did it earlier. They have a different meta down there, and it clashes with our meta, and sometimes it works out well for Continuum.
So here we are seeing Dexterity take on top floor. We're going to watch Cameraman stay down one of his Claymores at the top of the stairs and rotate on over towards Meeting Hall. What we've got now is basically the control of top floor being done by Astro and Cameraman. We do have a few more Dexterity members. That's going to be Panic and Gohan and Silence. Not necessarily there. We believe we still have Panic outside on the garage roof. Still looking on in, but Astro's made his way over the balcony down here, and this is where that Twitch drone is going to come into play. Taking out potential ADSs, getting rid of some of the shock wires. He spots Young. Might go for the zap here, just want to getting intel. He could have seen King George there. He's going to spot 2. Realizes he's going to go for the rush. He saw the King George hop onto the cam, but instead takes a couple bullets to the chest and has to retreat back to Tellers.
It looked like he was a little hesitant on that decision, and that might have cost him that kill.
So with that, Astro now thinks that someone's downstairs in the basement. Astro's very cautious of looking down there. Canadian's going to look on up through. It's going to be a death there by Canadian, finally getting his first death of the game. Astro picking up the kill. A 5-on-4, 55 seconds left to go.
I definitely thought Canadian might have been able to get that, but those jail bars are hard to shoot through. As Panico's going to find out if he has to panic.
I feel like with such short time, looks like Gohan's going to pick up one onto Young. With such short time, I wouldn't necessarily want one of my players so far off the map.
That's the problem with Glaz, right? You put him outside, now he's going to have to rush in at the last second if your team starts doing poorly. But they have a man advantage right now, 5-2 or 5-3. Yep. So
Astro has a very good angle here, right on King George. He's pinned. The splash shot finally lands on the Necrox. King George is going to be hitting one shot into Gohan, but he will be taken out here shortly. NVK getting one onto Silence. NVK comes in for the clutch from the behind, getting Astro. King George's life has still been saved. Another kill going to go down, and this is the Glaz. He still has to get inside of the building, I think, as he got one kill. He's going to come in from the front, move to the side, and he gets taken out by King George.
That NVK flank really turned that around. I mean, King George started by getting the kill, softening up a little bit. NVK comes around from behind, decimates the 2 in there. Knowing Glaz is stuck outside means they're not able to push with those last 2 guys. They tried it as fast as they could. The last one jumping over before Glaz comes in. And it's just, Glaz isn't going to be able to do much against that much strength left. It definitely did not look like it was going Continuum's favor until those 3 kills came out and turned completely around.
I mean, it was 5-3. Continuum had both of their roamers killed off early on, and it was left up to King George. NVK did actually come around for a very nice flank, and it just fell together towards the very end. And unfortunately for Dexterity, it seemed to have fallen apart at the very end.
Yeah, and we've talked a lot about roamers being a big part of this map, and you see that those flanks are important. And being able to control the map makes a huge difference in being able to get around behind them like NVK just did. That really completely changes when you come around behind someone like that. Like we saw Canadian do the first round with those 2 kills from above.
Yeah, and so I mean, we're down here, back downstairs in the basement, where Dexterity unfortunately didn't win their first time holding down here. What do they need to do? What do they need to change up differently? Because we saw 2 different styles of holding this between these 2 teams.
Yeah, when we saw, like, for example, Canadian sneaking around, maybe doing something like that where they keep a man alive, but we saw them. They're not able to keep their roamers alive so well because they're getting flushed out quickly. And I think they need to maybe either play more aggressively or a lot less aggressively and maybe hide, do like Canadian was doing, kind of pick positions where you're not going to get droned and let them think you're not there. Now, if Continuum are doing a good job in droning, you might need to actually rotate people back to site quickly and not get them killed. You need 5 man on site if you're not going to be able to do anything on their own.
I mean, looking at the operator choices, this seems as almost we're back to a Season 3 type of operator set. We're not seeing the Montaigne get played out. We're not seeing we are seeing the Hibana, but we're not from the defensive side of stuff. We're not necessarily seeing too much that differs.
Yeah, it's
so
it's
I
pretty
feel
standard.
like you could do a 5-man on-site defense hold.
Absolutely, and that's the traditional one. The only reason for 5-man on sites kind of falling out of favor is just because of Hibana. The ability to open up a lot of hatches and get a lot of angles down into a 5-man on site means it's a little bit easier to soften up and break a 5-man defense down there. And in this case, there is a lot of hatches open, but I think they generally got open before anyways, so I'm not sure that's making a huge difference. That stairwell, however, is usually an important part of a lot of attacks and defenses, regardless of hatches. Although having that hatch right there makes it so if someone backs out of that stairwell, that you can punish them for it. So it's definitely a good part of this take. So hatches are still really critical to that. But I mean, the gunplay is going to make all the difference if they can get in here.
Yeah, we are seeing that 5-man onsite defense. King George was just droning out server. He won't see anyone as they've all moved on over into the bomb sites, into lockers, into archives there. But what we're going to see here now from Canadians also throwing out another drone. It looks like so they've gotten themselves into the bombs, or into the map. Now it's time for a secondary information gathering session where they're, again, most of the teams getting on drones, going to feed that information to Canadian, who then is going to form up the strat on how to get into this bomb site.
Yeah, they want to have a good idea how to push in and take control of rooms rather than walk blind and face check. And you see them, it really benefits their ability to get those kills when they can pre-fire or pre-aim against someone. Look, they were looking for that jail bar angle, for example, but now that King George is droning it, they know where they're at in relation to that. They know, oh, maybe are they in Red Hall, are they hiding out in B? Things like that. Having 5-man on defense is good for them here because they didn't lose 2 people to the roamers, but it looks like they've lost so much map control, it might punish them for it anyways.
Yeah, and so 1 gas grenade has been baited out. There's 45 seconds left to go. If they can bait out the other 2, that's going to be a very good plant for him. But with dwindling down to nearly 30 seconds, King George is going to have to go in for a little silent plant. However, the gas grenade, he doesn't catch him, so he will get the plant down. NBK is now trying to cover, but the C4 explodes him from behind, and Panico is happy with that throw. A 5-on-4 now. Canadian moves in with a pistol kill to take down Panico. Necrox gets the shot down onto Cameraman as he gets another one onto Silence. A 4-on-2 diffuser has been planted. However, Astro is able to take 1 down onto Necrox. 3-on-2 diffuser is planted. Canadian inside of the B site as Astro has managed to make his way behind the desk. He gets caught behind, and now it's all up to Gohan trying to come around for the flank. He's going to spot Feet, but he turns around, gets the shot on the Blackbeard, but only destroys the shield, and Young is there to pick up the kill.
I think a lot of people wrote Blackbeard off after that nerf, but you see it's just saving life after life when the timing isn't right by someone. That actually could have been an easy kill had he hit the timing better as he was falling down, because there was a good chance to hit the head. But the reaction time from Young was great there. He's well known as a shield player, and that includes Blackbeard. He knows how to use that shield to block those bullets, and that saved his life right there. I'm not sure that flank even would have been that critical of a difference, because you saw the awareness of Canadian, Necrox, and being able to spin around and get those kills when they need to, or catch Astro off guard, jumping over that desk. Giving up that much map control and putting yourself in B like that, I think they were relying a little too much on that flank to be able to save them at the end, and it was too little too late.
So what I'm seeing right now is we're in a 4-0 match point.
Absolutely.
And with Continuum holding down the main favored bomb site, and seeing as how well Canadian did his job, and the rest of the team did their job on the first round, I think we might be seeing our first 5-0.
If Dexterity can even come back from this, and win, that, I think that would be basically the equivalent of a miracle.
Yep.
Like coming back from a 4-0 where you're clearly getting decimated, not just like 1-to-1s at the end, like Continuum are coming on strong with at least 2 people left alive at the end. These aren't close fights at the end when Continuum gets in control. And I think Dexterity's going to have to do something really different to shake things up if they even want to get another point at this point. Like you said, they're on the superior bomb defense site, and Continuum know what they're doing for the most part. Dexterity's going to have to do something really wild and actually get some early picks if they're going to want to break up Continuum stride, because having 5-man is just really slaughtering them.
It is. And so right now we are getting underway in what could be the final action phase for the first map here on Bank. Astro's going to make his way onto the South Window Plaza, making his way possibly into the meeting room or in the executive office. But we do have Canadian again roaming, and they are forcing him downstairs. They're saying you will not get another 2K from behind on us.
You know what? He's burning up a lot of their time doing it, though. Making them have to spend this much time taking control of the top is a lot less time they can spend on the bottom.
And this is part of that counter strat. They know, hey, they're on this bomb site. This is what they're going to do. Canadian's going to be up here, and they're trying to go against that. And Canadian's like, all right, I know you're thinking this. I'm already going to counter that by just making myself appear here and then head on downstairs.
And the great part is he's playing his pulse, so he has a lot of ways to get intel for himself, as well as his teammates giving him intel on the cameras. They got Valkyrie. They have extra cameras around. There's so much intel going. You see how he's using this pulse to be able to track. He's going to be calling those counter strats. He's going to know they're on this side. We know what to do from here. This is actually going to make it really hard for Dexterity to crack this.
So right now he's calling out that there's one inside of the elevator, one above him on a floor two levels above.
You see
so
that
right
angle
there,
he's using too.
That's 2 out of 3. I mean, or 2 out of 5 that he's already got information on, knows exactly where they're at, and there's still half the round left to go. So unless Dexterity is able to just push it into action, they haven't done too much. Some of the drop hatches may have been opened up. You see the one inside the server, but Young is still in position. He still has all of his utility. You still have everyone on Continuum not really being forced to do anything much.
Yeah. I think they all know how to hide from those drop hatches enough, so the only way you're even going to get them in a position where you can shoot them from is to force them in that position with something like explosives or a fuse or something, or like Capitao, which they're not even bringing. I think lack of bringing Capstone has actually been hurting them quite a bit in terms of actually getting in to these defensive spots.
And if you think about it, we're 1/3 of the round left to go, and the drop hatches are just getting opened up. So here we're actually going to have Panics possibly try to come down very early on, very quickly. He's going to look on down through. He gets picked up by Canadian underneath. NVK's also going to get Gohan. It's still a 5-on-3, now a 5-on-2, and Canadian gets another one. Here he is, he's down to about 1 health. Cameraman finally gets NVK down, but will be traded up by Young.
Looks like
still 4-on-1, last one's gonna be Silence. He's finally getting into the building, still top floor. 30 seconds to go, Diffuser's in hand, but taking away 4 of the Continuum members doesn't necessarily seem likely. But he starts it off very nicely, picking off Canadian.
It looks like he's moving with a lot of confidence and a
He's
lot
gonna
less
drop
time.
on through, look towards red, look towards server, doesn't know which way to go. Young picked up the kill, and it's gonna be our first 5-0 by Continuum.
I think if there was any doubt that Continuum should or shouldn't have picked Bank, I think all that doubt's gone. I mean, that was compared to how we saw them play in the S3 finals, complete shutout. I think Dexterity are really going to have to recollect themselves now. That's our first 5-0. I mean, we had 5-1s earlier. That just shows these teams are really working hard to try and make it to day 3. But some maps are just not working. And this just shows maps do matter a lot. That's why we spend so much time talking about them. Because if it's just not your map, if the other team just knows how to work that map, it really matters.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about, we've talked about previous, you mentioned the 5-1s. I mean, we've seen 6-5, we've seen 6-4s, 5-3s, 5-1s. But when it gets down to it, a 5-0 is not just, oh, we lost the round, let's get them back. It's sometimes demoralizing to a team. And so how do you come back from that? I mean, Continuum right now is probably on the highest hype that they've ever been on right now. And so they're going to bring that to the next match. How do you get Dexterity? If you're Dexterity, how do you bring that back and say, shake it off, we need to go for the second map?
You really just got to take that mentality of like, it was just the map. It's not us. It's just the map. We can do this. We are like the champions in Brazil. We showed the other teams yesterday, like we can do this. We actually have our own strengths and we're going to bring them. We just didn't expect the way these guys were going to play. Maybe our research didn't pick up, depending. I assume they did research.
Yeah.
And so they just need to be better prepared in terms of like how they're going to play. Now they have the chance.
Yeah, so let's take a look at some of these highlights here from Continuum.
Wow.
Again, this is the first 2 kills of the game by Canadian. Then you've got Gohan just running right into NVK. Now, unfortunately, NVK had the upper hand, but didn't get it there. Gohan
Nice
picking up
drop
the kill.
shot.
Silence tries to come on in, but gets sideswiped once again, and this is just the crossfires, the teamwork that Continuum has the entire game. C4 just annihilating Ash right there.
It's just so many good teamworks and angles. Like you see these angles coming around behind people a lot. Well-placed shots as well. They really seem to know where the enemy's going to be at.
And their timing is impeccable. I mean, you saw right there, Canadian rushes around and picks off Valkyrie. She's looking up through the drop hatch. Typically, you're thinking, okay, if I'm underneath her there, I got to be either hearing and then watching towards the CCTV room, or you need to be looking up. And it was just the perfect timing of that.
And then NVK coming around there, just turned that round completely around. That point, especially with the diffuser right there, they really had to panic and move in. Glaz wasn't going to get anywhere near there, just pushing in right into the bolts in his face, like through that barbed wire too.
So yeah, there's that C4. Forcing Thermite out of position, but NVK ends up picking it up, and again, another win for CTM.
Yeah, they thought maybe they had him on the defense there. That Blackbeard shield saving his life right there, completely cutting off that only flank that could have saved them. So that was just a brutal set of rounds.
Very.
I mean, we saw occasionally some slip-ups from Continuum, but overall,
To me, that was the epitome of what an ideal team and an ideal game looks like. I mean, you've got a team that is just, they've got their strats down set. I'm pretty sure that aside from the call-outs of where they were, it wasn't of, you need to be in this position, you need to be in this position. It's just a matter of, okay, let's do this. Let's get the win.
yeah.
And speaking of win, let's move on to our second map of the day. It is going to be on Border. Let's take a look at those bomb sites. All right, so going into this map, this is one of the maps that have been favored towards Dexterity, even though Continuum chose it. But what I'd like to see is a little bit of the difference of bomb sites. I mean, we talked about how previously Dexterity's, their second bomb site was that Tellers and Bathroom, which is probably the least favored from many other teams in Europe and North America.
Because it's kind of a tight spot to be in with a lot of windows and open access. But, I mean, that almost could have been a gimmick play in a way. I mean, It's like when we see Watchtower sometimes on Oregon. It almost feels like more of a gimmick thing that generally doesn't work. And Continuum have been good at actually trying new bomb sites and things like that. So I really don't think that's going to work on this team. I think Continuum not only saw it yesterday, but they are willing to explore other bomb sites and will have tried that out. So I don't think they're going to be super surprised by anything like that. Like Santos Dexterity are really going to have to bring just solid gameplay. They're not going to win off of, oh, you know, we'll do something different they don't expect as much. From what we saw on Bank, that just isn't working for them. They aren't doing anything different enough to win against such solid strats.
See, I like what Canadian did just there. Oh, NVK peeking on out, gets detected, but is able to take down Astro without
Astro too.
Taking very little damage in return.
Yeah. Like, we take out Astro and Gohan at the beginning, it's very hard for the rest of the team to go. That doesn't mean the rest of the team does nothing. I just mean those are like their entry fraggers, they're strong roamers. You take those guys out, and then all of a sudden they're having to play a lot more defensively.
Yeah, I mean, taking out Astro, next person that they're going to be aiming for is to take out Gohan.
Yeah.
He's another one of their star players on Dexterity, and now it's just a matter of where is he? Once they find him, I can guarantee you they're going to try to collapse on him. Canadian's already spotted one out here. He doesn't know that it's Gohan just yet, but if he gets that call out.
He's ready to jump out that window. He's going to use that door as bait as well.
He has been droned out. He has been droned out, but it looks like another kill from NVK. Underneath, he gets a third one as he pops one out. He gets silenced as well. He gets 3 kills here at the very start of the round, not even a minute into the game.
I think Canadian provided perfect distraction for that drone there. They thought they had the intel, but the teamwork and coverage from each other just slaughtered them. They're down to 2 men, and they haven't even got it.
He's going to go for another peek. He gets the 4th kill right on the cameraman. He's got the last one to go. It's going to be Panico playing the Capital. Now we're going to have him get back onto site here, pull down the castle wall, and retreat back on site. This is one of those teams that gets very aggressive and can get it very hectic. They don't want to overextend themselves and allow Panic to start taking these one-on-one fights.
As long as they don't take NVK at this point, I think they're fine.
NVK still drawing out some more attention. Panico's going to be droning out some more, getting more intel, spots a lot inside of the office. He's got to suspect that one's going to be inside of A, even more inside of B. Now he possibly hears the last one, got detected outside on the east balcony.
See the way NVK's just moving through this map, just fluidly. He has ideas where he might be, just running around.
Looks like last one will be taken down. That's going to be a Canadian picking up Panico.
Now you see why we're talking so much about NVK earlier. The teamwork between NVK and Canadian, working as distractions, working as intel. So the rest of their team were just there for coverage at that point. I mean, starting off the second, so you're getting a 5-0, then starting off the second map with a 4K before they even get in the building. I don't know if Santos can recover from this.
So, I mean, one of the things I want to highlight here is the lack of team communication, I'll say, by Continuum. And the reason I say that is because I guarantee you that when Canadian got droned out up top, he probably said 3 words. I got droned. That's all that was needed to get said. And then NVK knew, hey, he's upstairs. It's my time to go for the shot.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what the team coordination and the team synthesis happens. When you play with your friends, you play with people that you know the way they think.
It also doesn't hurt that they're really good at the game.
It doesn't hurt at all.
So we're seeing some great play here. I think Astro and Gohan probably need to play a lot more cautious and actually get some good intel from the rest of their team before they just start running in and getting shot in the head instead of getting kills. I mean, this defense with their 2-man roam, like Kix was talking about, has just not been working, and that was what we were expecting to be part of their linchpin on defense.
I mean, if you look at the drones right now, there's 4 of them still alive here by Continuum. I think I saw the Twitch drone as well as 1 or 2 others by Dexterity die early on in the prep phase. So they need to play a little bit safer, a little bit more cautiously, a little bit more conservatively with those drones so that you can get that initial intel. You can kind of figure out where are they pushing in from, or are they having doors or windows opened up early.
Yeah, we saw what happened to Mind Freak when they didn't focus enough on intel yesterday. It's a big part of this game, which is part of what makes it so strategic and tactical and just have so much depth, is that intelligence matters, especially when you're playing against a team like Continuum.
Speaking of intel, we do have Gohan playing Caveira, which he did do yesterday. Probably the only player in the 6 Invitational that has played Caveira so far. But I mean, they need to get it in a position that it's going to be effective for them.
Yeah, it's going to have to be a flank thing like that. But if it gets taken out early, then that flank that they're hoping will make a huge difference later on just won't.
That cameraman did get droned out here by Canadian going down the east stairwell. But what I'm looking to see is how Canadian is going to address that. He's right over here on the east balcony or south balcony, headed towards the east stairs.
Looks like they're being very cautious before going in, really, just like they did when they were attacking the basement of Bank, really feeling more people out and not assuming that they have control of the map, that they can just run in. Especially on border, there's a lot of good flanks around to get on people if you don't control certain areas of the map, or at least have enough intel on them first before going in.
Now the push is coming from the B-side offices. You've got Canadian moving in. He's ready for the shot. He's going to pre-fire around this corner. He's going to spot Cameraman and get the shot right on the head of him, taking him down for the count. Now you do have one roamer underneath. That's Panico. He's going to be looking to come around for the flank, possibly through the east stairwell up behind the rest of Continuum. Young's outside of the balcony of the window of B, as we do have Sledge. That's NVK. Took quite a bit of damage there. He's going to back off into the offices a little bit further. Canadian still inside of the fountain, looking in towards B. This is the collapse that we're going to see from Continuum here in a few moments.
They're working great as distractions. Those bullets just
Panico's coming up for the flank from behind, but it's already a shot, a pre-fire from Hibana. That's Necrox. Now that he's got one kill, he's going to play the Claymore down and then focus his attention on Office. Canadian's going to rush on in and gets down and killed off by Astro. Another kill by Astro here. It's looking like it's going to be a double kill, a 3-on-3 now with 45 seconds remain. Right on the other side of the desk here is going to be Astro, right on the armory lockers. Right looking into B here.
A lot of this is going to fall on Necrox to do a lot of the killing.
Now you do have Gohan, who was able to come around, but right away he's going to be taken down by Young. Astro picking up King George, though, as Necrox also got one. So now a 2-on-1. Silence is the last man alive. Diffuser's going to get planted here to the left side. He gets one. He's just got to turn around, but he doesn't get it. And Necrox coming in with a flank crossfire right onto Silence.
Great teamwork there. It was unfortunate to get shot while planting the diffuser, but that was great bait in terms of like, go ahead, kill him, and then I'll kill you, and then we still win.
So a player's first instinct, most players' first instinct is if you kill someone inside of that bomb site, you look outside of the window or the doorway, which is what we saw the Rook do. Rook looked out that way, Silence looked out that way, then he realized he's not out there. He's not looking through the window.
Where is he?
So he did a 360, tried to go retreat back into the lockers, and by that time he was caught in the middle of the wall.
Yeah, the trap was set. So great play by Necrox there, covering that on that plant. They didn't really need the plant down. It just became bait at that point. And a 2-0 start here. All the teams starting to pick it up on Continuum in terms of kills. Just solid play. I mean, I think they were a little, I think some of the other people were a little worried about Continuum playing on border. I'm certainly not at this point. Definitely feeling it. So a lot of busy work coming out here from Continuum. Clearly they've got some good strats and plans here. It does not look like they're improvising in any way. This is a bomb spot they've practiced and planned. So we'll see if they can defend it as well. We haven't seen them defend that one just yet. So it is a little bit of a question mark. Probably their secondary bomb site may not defend it as well. Maybe a little more of a struggle than the first one. But with a 2-0 lead after a 5-0 last round, they're still going to have a psychological lead against Santos, or Santos Dexterity.
And so we are getting underway in round number 3 of the action phase. Gohan's coming out by the northeast alleyway, looking in towards Tellers, and then moving it on over to the overpass.
See them starting to look a little more panicky, I think, in terms of making sure they go around, do things quickly, but still.
Now NVK's actually right up on top of the lockers, looking out. He could possibly be looking outside. Not going to see Astro just yet, though. I think he's on the other side of that locker, but very close to being able to get a free kill there as Astro was caught on the ladder.
He has been pulling out some great kills onto the outside, so it wouldn't surprise me. It looks like he wants to make sure he doesn't get droned out in the process, though.
So he did get rid of one drone. Whether or not that spotted him out and gave away that intel, now it will tell him that someone's up here. Astro's going to wait for a little bit more information. Looks like Cameraman and Astro are both going to go in for a crossfire, but right there's going to be a little engagement between Cameraman, and I want to say that was NVK. NVK's over in top of lockers looking out. I'm sorry, no, that was Canadian. Canadian's out in lockers looking over towards the closed circuit television room.
I like how Astro's not wasting his Twitch drone on shocks. He tries to keep it for intel and make sure it's useful, and then if he has to use shocks, sure, but he's not just trying to taunt players by shocking them with it. So it's good discipline.
Now Gohan's going to get rid of some ADSs, and it looks like finally Necrox will fall to silence. That's going to be smoke, though, going down. NVK still very much hurt here as he is inside the lockers. Looks like he gets picked off by Astro. Another wallbang doesn't happen just yet, but he gets down in the process. Canadian will pick up one and then be traded off by Cameraman from the cross.
This is actually looking a lot better for Dexterity this time. 4v2 and killing off 2 of the top fraggers here.
So it is, like you said, a 4v2, a minute 10 left to go. You still have King George and Young left alive. They're going to be on bomb site. Silence is going to be outside of the window, droning on in. You've got Cameraman, and I believe that is Ash. That's going to be Gohan destroying that top floor, trying to play that vertical game and allow Panico and Silence to push on in.
And now they are bringing that Capito that I mentioned earlier was like not something they were bringing to help them get people out of sight. Now they have it. With the 2 men left on site, it's going to be harder for them to anchor down and hold this defense because of that Capito.
And then Incendiaries are going out. That might prevent Silence from pushing in. King George is still inside of the server room as well as Young. They're looking to get angles in. It looks like King George will fall to Gohan. This could be Dexterity's first round 1. We're going to see Young inside of the bomb site. They know he's cornered. He cannot get one. And it's finally going to be Silence taking down Young. That's going to be the first round here for Dexterity.
Definitely not their preferred bomb site, that's for sure. Giving Dexterity 1 point, though, might make them a little more confident. Now, that does give Continuum the ability to go back to the other bomb site, though. So that doesn't mean, hey, maybe we lost that round, but we're winning all our attacks, we're winning our defenses, other than that one. So we can go back to that, what we're good at. So I don't think that's a huge setback for Continuum at all.
No, I think what will have to happen is we're going to have Dexterity have to rethink, reevaluate how they're going to hold this top floor inside of the lockers and archives. It's something that they didn't do effectively the previous defensive hold.
Yeah, and you see they got this mute here to try and see if they can deny some intel. As we've seen Continuum quite good at doing the drone play here. If they can deny some of those drones, that might put a little bit of a weakness into Continuum, but I think Continuum probably have a plan for dealing with some of those jammers if they're especially problematic, or at least trying to clear them out and then drone.
So here it is, Cameraman's taking down one of the jammers right outside of the south balcony. That's towards the valley spawn, hoping to prevent a drone from getting in and getting intel right away.
Yeah, they want to make sure that that room stays as secure as possible because that's an important room to the defense. You see, though, Canadian sneaking around one behind Astro, but still getting caught the last second. So,
well, one of the ways that we saw Continuum try to counter that is they didn't care about that mute jammer. They didn't play mute, really. So what they did, Canadian, we saw opened up the doorway between the 2 bombs, or between the bombs at the lockers and the TV room. He actually strafed across outside without being detected first.
Yeah, having that kind of mobility helps a lot. They definitely want to be able to anchor down there as well. You see Jaeger trying to stop some grenades from being... so that I assume he's going to play down there, otherwise why would he put that there?
You do have Astro and Gohan on the first floor, on the first level, trying to get away some intel, possibly come around for a flank from behind, but the majority of what they're doing right now is probably trying to stay hidden. They want to get that secret, that they want to get that flank from behind.
Yeah, they're really going to need to keep those people on the bottom floor for later. Using them up too early, unless they've got some great kills, is going to cost them on their top side defense.
Keeping an eye here, Young's going to give away his position here on top of the overpass, the top of the ventilation unit.
I think he just did that just to get his drone in too, not even trying to necessarily get shots in on anyone, just say, hey, look, open up a crack so I can jump that drone in.
Now, a little bit of a late reinforcement there from Astro, and it looks like a Panico will go down by NVK as they both peek out the window at the same time.
This is a good start for them. They're not pushing in the building overly aggressive. You see a lot of patience from Continuum on these pushes inside the building.
The cameraman might be trying to overextend himself, looking towards the window. NVK's already got the headshot lined up. He's now going to push in even further. He's got to look down towards Fountain, and cameraman's still tucked away inside of the corner. There's going to be engagement here very soon as cameraman wants to come on out. This is the mute. He's got a C4 in hand. If he tosses out, he might get the trick, but NVK's playing very silently here.
He knows he's there. It's just a matter of whether or not someone looks away at the wrong time.
Now there is a Valk cam that's going to spot him out there, so he knows, hey, don't even go for it. There's the nade. He's going to call it out, say, run away. However, it might injure him. No, it looks like the ADS took it out for the count. Now that Black Eye is going to call him out. Cameraman's finally going to expose himself. Nice. Canadian gets the wall bang with the first shot. However, Astro comes on out and counters both of them to get NVK and Canadian down. King George is going to peek around the window here, but Astro turns away at the wrong second. And a C4 from Gohan from underneath will get Necrox down. It's a 3-on-2 at the moment, and King George has been drastically hurt.
Definitely not looking good for Continuum in this tech as well. They might have lost some of their momentum on border here.
Young still stationed outside of this window by the ventilation unit, by B bomb site. Gohan, I don't think has detected him yet, but seeing as how Blackbeard does have a very distinguishable gun, he's now going to get called on out as more bullets go flying in and do not land on Gohan.
This is up to King George and Young to actually work together here, as neither of those operators are going to be great attacking operators at high speed, so they're going to need to pinch people together, and you see him doing just that, exchanging the diffuser so he can go around and take up a different position. And
there are 25 seconds left to go. King George is drastically hurt, down to about 10 health. Young still has full health out here on the north balcony, as well as, Silent and Gohan. Both are full health with Astro, down to about 20. However, it looks like Gohan gets up one. Last man's going to be Young. He rushes in, gets rid of the Valk cam, but will be traded off between Astro.
This is looking a bit more balanced now. Astro and all Dexterity kind of finding their stride now on this map. but Continuum are going to have to adjust, and that's something we know they're good at doing. So it's a question of not whether or not Astro figured out what to, or Dexterity figured out what to do, or if just Continuum wasn't playing the way they should have been on those particular bomb spots.
I think a little bit what it came down to was they might have spooked themselves very early on. They said, we're going up against the world champs, and that could have been the downfall. They could have had that stigma in their mind, saying, we got to perform. Now that they've gotten one round out of the way, they know that they can compete, they know that they're in this game, and now it's just a matter of keeping that momentum forward, which they just did this previous round.
Yeah. Now, interestingly, we see them bringing out an operator we don't see very often as well on the Dexterity side is IQ. Now, that could be something that actually counters Canadian here. Being able to see him on that heartbeat sensor might actually give them an advantage against one of the important players. Now, there's no Valkyrie to see those Valk cams, though, so it might not have as much utility other than that.
I think that's a very good addition, a very good tweak to the push here from Dexterity, is realizing that how are we getting beat almost every time? We're getting beat by Canadian. We're getting beat by NVK. How is NVK getting good information? From Canadian.
Yep.
So get rid of that information gather. Get rid of Canadian, and that's what they're trying to do here with IQ.
And assuming Canadian doesn't know that at the beginning, he's going to be using the heartbeat sensor without any kind of hesitation, and they're just going to see that. And he does play close to the edges, plays close to the walls to try and see where they're coming from, which means IQ's going to have an easier time doing that from the outside, not having to be inside using that scanner.
Yep, so Panico's still far outside on the northeast spawn here by the east road exit. But what I want to see here is how is he going to be spotting out our Pulse?
Yeah, he's looking for him right now.
He's not going to see anyone just yet. Gohan is going to be droning out downstairs inside a server, as we do have Silence out here on the west side of the map.
A lot of gunfire going out on windows. It's going to give away the positions of at least some of the attackers in terms of what side they're attacking from. But we have people on multiple sides here, so it might not be a big deal.
So the first throw is going to be a ball, as second one is going to be a strike, and he moves on in. Astro getting that Twitch drone in there, looking for a Valk cam. Won't see it because there is no Valk. And therefore, he's going to move on forward. Gets rid of, I want to say, one ADS before he got taken out.
Yeah, I think they were actually expecting Valkyrie, and that's why they brought the IQ. And then, you saw Astro looking for that as well. So it might be something that threw them off a little bit. Obviously, the counter to Canadian is strong from IQ, but without Valkyrie there, the utility is definitely lessened in terms of, like, we need to get some idea where their intel is before we go in.
Yeah, now Canadian is still feeling very comfortable inside of the TV room, inside of computers, where Silence is still going to be droning out. It looks like a little bit. Canadian is playing solo over there. NVK is going to be inside of the offices. Gohan and Cameraman moving on forward from the east stairwell, pushing their way in, moving over towards the east balcony now.
They're going to be making a lot of noise over there, and there's three of them that's going to give a lot of intel to Continuum as they're sitting over by that wall.
It looks like Canadian takes down Panico. I tell you what, the IQ device might spot him, but that doesn't mean you're going to get him killed.
Nope, and that's a good counter right there. Now he's taken out his counter. Now he's more free to use that heartbeat sensor and just give intel to NVK and the rest of the team, if not get kills himself.
And now Silence will open up the doorway here. Gohan's going to possibly keep an eye on the flank or just rush on in. Looks like Gasconade's going to hold off that flank. 45 seconds ago, Cameraman picks off NVK, tying it back to a 4-4 man count.
They are running a little low on time, though. That kill was important, but the Canadian's still alive. The rest of the team's still alive. Playing that site, and we are down to 35 seconds, basically. So it's not going to be an easy push at this point.
Now, Young knows that wall's open. He's holding on to that side. He's got to be careful, though, of the window. They could come in for a simultaneous flank. There's going to be a C4 from underneath, but Astro got out of the way just in time to pick off Necrox. He's also going to get King George. Gohan gets Young, and now Canadian's last one alive. He's downstairs. He's going to be looking for who's going to be stationary. That stationary person, that stationary marker, is going to be that diffuser getting planted. But he will not see it, and Astro comes down for another kill. It's now Dexterity's position here, 3-2.
They've definitely figured out what they were doing wrong in terms of at least these 3 rounds, or 2 rounds. It's just, I mean, I expect Continuum to adjust, though. I don't know if the streak is going to continue, but if it does, they're going to be on match point. Continuum's really going to have to work hard. However, the way they won that first map, I wouldn't feel too bad about losing this one, assuming you have some confidence going last. We heard, for example, from Slash earlier when he was talking about they won the first, they knew they were going to win Chalet. They didn't care that much if they lost the second map because they knew they could take the third map.
Yep.
And so, we could see the same situation with Continuum here. But at the same time, I know they want to win every map. They're not going to be that mentality of like, it's okay if we lose this. They want to win it. They want to win a 2-0. They want to show some serious confidence going into day 3.
Now here is the bomb site that we want to see, that Continuum definitely scoped out, because this, again, is not a typical bomb site from the NAPC meta.
Yeah.
So this is a bomb site that is coming out of Brazil, coming out of Latin America, and it's something that not many teams, not many players, not many people have seen before. And so we saw it yesterday a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you think they've tweaked anything, realizing that Continuum was watching?
I think a lot of the reason it worked last time was surprise and a little bit of bait and things like that. If Continuum are expecting it, I don't expect it to work as well, even with some tweaks, unless they use what Continuum would do different to their advantage. But that's hard to counter counters, so I just don't imagine it working super great. But you know, the Santos Dexterity have been kind of on a roll last 2 rounds, so they've got to be feeling a little more confident, at least in their aim. They're not looking so shaky anymore. It is up to Continuum to play smart, as they have been, and just make sure they land those shots and get those kills. Maybe Necrox and Canadian aren't communicating as well together as they were the previous rounds, and then starting to kind of stretch them out, because we're seeing NVK die a little bit earlier now in some of these rounds, and I think that's costing them quite a bit.
I think it's a little bit of that, but you also have to understand that all the teams here today are all the highest level of gameplay. They all have that ability to adapt on the fly, and I think that's what we're seeing here from Dexterity.
Yeah.
Is that adaptability that we even saw from Era yesterday going up against Envy.
Absolutely. Nice spot on King George, seeing that bot camera there. So it is going to be on Continuum to adapt, and I do have faith that this round, either way it goes, is going to be a lot closer.
Now NVK has droned out Astro inside of the offices. They're going to go in for a pinch here. Looks as though NVK and Astro are going to go head-to-head in just a few moments. Astro actually negates out of the way, but he gets the shot onto King George. I'm sorry, onto NVK.
See,
coming in through the window.
Again. Astro taking out NVK early has really kind of hurt them most times, and this is not looking as good for Continuum then.
Now that he's gotten that 1 kill, he's now scattered downstairs, allowed top floor to be overtaken by CTM. However, they are still going to have to drone it out. They don't know if someone's roaming around or lurking around. They do have a Caveira on their team.
Yeah, and that is going to burn some time. They're not going to be able to play as aggressive without Necrox, or without NVK, but Necrox is going to be able to play somewhat aggressive here and help Canadian get in.
And they do have control of above the bomb site. Canadian, however, trying to turn it more in favor of himself. He's going to get Astro. He's also going to get Silence, getting another double kill from yet another drop hatch. You've got a 3-on-4 at the moment with 60 seconds left to go in the round.
Definitely knows how to fire at those angles. Now the question is, can they make the push onto their and use their manpower advantage?
Now Gohan's coming up, but another kill by Canadian!
He's definitely using that gun to his advantage up here.
Here we have Panico and Cameraman, last 2 alive. 45 seconds, they just need to hold down the fort or at least collapse on in, because they're going up against 4 CTM members. Necroc's going to be inside of the waiting room looking out towards the tellers, looking out towards the server room, and Panico is right there. King George's going to spot Cameraman as he strafes across. Panico picks up 1,
wow.
The C4 gets another, and another trade from Young, though, is going to make it back even. A 1-on-1. These are the DLC ops from this map border. And we're going to see them going head-to-head here. Young going up against Panico. Diffuser looking like he might get planted. Is he going to fake and then try to go for the kill here? Not quite sure. Bullets are going to go flying. It looks like it's going to be Young getting the kill, tying it back up for round number 6. It's 3-3.
He really went for that. Almost stuck it, too, on that plant. He just waited to the last possible second, maybe using that hearing to try and call it out, or maybe his teammates if there was any kind of drones left. But that's what I mean. That round was going to be a lot closer. Now, both these teams are really feeling themselves out. I don't expect it to be as easy. I really think NVK has been playing it a little reckless in terms of this map now due to overconfidence. I would imagine he's been playing very strong up to this point, but he's now starting to get taken out at the beginning of rounds. He's not the one getting those 4Ks at the beginning of the rounds. He's becoming the victim. And I think that's ultimately making this a much more uphill battle for Continuum. However, you know, now that they got that round, they're going to be a little more confident and try and make a little more of a comeback. You see Astro there doing a lot of work like he did yesterday. Very, very strong player. And against NVK, I mean, you're seeing actually Canadian getting more kills than NVK because of those losses he's sustaining at the beginning. So I think doing a little bit better job on the intel and making sure that his timing is a little bit better. You saw last time he got killed mid-vault animation. So the timing was just there from Astro. That's what they're fighting against, is these peak battles where one of them's just getting that better timing. And that some of that comes down to intel.
And that's what wasn't happening before. It seemed like every single time Dexterity was turning their back on Bank, there was always a Continuum member coming up for the flank from behind. And so that is basically what we're starting to see. Like you said, we're seeing that from Dexterity. They're starting to be more aware, starting to be more continuous with their firing and getting that shot.
I think Continuum just need to be cross-firing a bit better, so that way when someone's coming and they know it's going to be baiting out a counter shot from someone else, that there's a teammate there to pick that up. And we saw a lot of that on Bank.
Yeah, and so now we have a 3-on-3. This is round number 7. Winner of this will get into match point, or the winner of this round match point for them. But NVK is going to be right inside of the break room at the moment, as well as we've got Canadian over here inside of the security room. This is that monitors room that he's been famous for being in.
Yeah, and they've got that IQ again. We'll see if that makes any more difference this time than it did last time. Last time it just seemed to get him killed
He's
with
going to
that.
take quite a bit of damage there as he peeks on out to get one drone. He does get down in the process, and it looks as though he might have fallen through. Will he get picked back up? Gohan actually gets taken out by NVK.
He was looking for that follow-up on
There's
Canadian.
the Twitch drone, though, just tormenting Canadian there by Astro. A nice job picking him up.
I feel like those two are starting to become quick rivals.
NVK now making his way towards the east stairwell, coming on down underneath. You still have Silence outside. I believe he's outside on the first floor.
Looks like they're doing a little bit more careful droning this time, really trying to figure out where they're at so they don't get so surprised. But if NVK can avoid those drones, he can still pull up some serious kills from behind, as we've seen him do in the past.
I mean, like you said, NVK is one of those guys that was not afraid to pop on out if he's got the information. And so hearing that there's rappels going on, I wouldn't be surprised if we see NVK getting underneath of them, popping out of another door, another window to get some additional kills. But Panico is on that first floor, making sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, and I'm sure they wish they had Valkyrie at this point in terms of Canadian being able to be on those cameras, giving that intel for NVK for the rest of the team in terms of making this defense solid.
Now the wall did get opened up outside of the A-bomb site. Necrox is going to toss out one gas grenade. He's got 2 left and a minute 10 to hold off the attackers. It's a 4-on-4 still to go.
I like how he's playing it safe with the angle in which he's throwing them from, trying not to expose himself mid-throw, because that's an easy way to get yourself killed to smoke.
Ooh, we actually have Panico on the window on the other side of lockers, looking to possibly do, I want to say, a quick breach. No, he's just going to blow it open there.
He's going to give himself a chance, though, to take an angle on smoke when he needs to.
So they baited out 2 of the 3 smokes. This is very good for Dexterity. They've managed to get only 1 smoke left in the hands of Necrox.
They are running low on time, but 45 seconds is still plenty enough when you've got the bomb site open.
Ooh, Cameraman picks off 1 onto NVK. That's the Jaeger going down. King George is still going to be inside of the bomb site as we have Cameraman moving on over here into the break room. Coming into the main hallway, looking at L, and now he's going to look down towards the east. Come on in through offices. He's still got Panic. Oh, this is what he's going to do. He's waiting for the perfect time. He's going to do a quick breach through this west window into the bomb site. Here it goes. He's rushing in, and it looks like King George is ready for it, and he gets the kill. Necrox turns around. Young and Necrox getting the final 3 kills. Looks like it's going to be match point here for Continuum.
That definitely could have gone either way there at the end. I think that was just great timing by the defenders. King George being ready for that window breach, or at least turning around to react to it much faster than IQ could swing and firing. And then Necrox just jumping up at the right time, popping them in the heads. Just well played by the defenders. They stuck tight to their defense. They played it. They didn't overexpose themselves, and they reacted quickly and appropriately to the attackers making their way in. It's looking... I was actually thinking it was not looking great for Continuum there, but they're going to be feeling good after the last 2 rounds.
They've stopped the momentum of Dexterity.
Absolutely.
So Continuum started off very well. They started off 2-0. They lost that momentum. Dexterity started gaining it back up, got the 3 rounds in a row, but then Continuum said, look, you might have thought of, you originally sought us out. You figured out what we were doing. This is where Canadian's mentality comes into play. This is where his team leadership came into play to say, they figured us out on Strat 1. Time to turn to Strat 2 or Strat C, Strat 3, whatever it may be. And this is where Continuum is now getting back on their momentum, back on their roll.
Yeah, and if Dexterity get a little spooked by that and fall back on their static stuff, it's really going to backfire on them.
It definitely will. And so here we are again, match point, potential series point for the reigning champs of the world here on PC.
Yeah, it could be a brutal 2-0 here, or it could just be a real close 2-1.
It looks like NVK and Necrox both coming in from Valley Spawn, as we do have, I want to say, Go on here on the east stairwell. Looking out towards, he's very cautious. He will get droned out here by NVK. A couple bullets might go flying in through the door momentarily, but that's going to force him to travel back downstairs out of harm's way for the time being.
I like how he's just pursuing him with the drone anyways. He's like, I don't care where you go, I want to know where it's at.
Yep. So now he knows he's no longer on the stairs, he's no longer in the atrium. He's got the freedom to open up that door, get rid of the cam, and move on in now.
It was good for him to clear his entry and also to make sure as he jumps on his drone here, he's checking for a reaction. When you open a door like that, when you do something like that, especially when you know someone's nearby, first thing you want to do is someone reacting to it. Can I shoot at them? And you see sometimes some pre-fires in reaction to that as well to try and stop people that are just going to use their knowledge of you against you.
Now what we are going to see here, NVK is on that east balcony out towards the offices. The wall's not been reinforced, so he's going to get in fairly silently. He's just going to crouch, open up a hole, maybe a vault-through hole, and open it up easily. So with that, that's going to make offices in the hands of CTM momentarily.
Yeah, I feel like they're pushing back Dexterity a lot. If NVK can get in this window without getting himself killed again, I think that'll be good. I think this has kind of been a weak point for him. It's a nice angle, and he's used it to his advantage in the early rounds, but it's also been costing him in the later rounds.
Yep, and so now Canadian is going to move on in again, goes for a kill and will not land the bullets that are necessary, but also takes no damage in return. He finally downs Cameraman and finishes him off, but takes massive damage in the process. You've got NVK now who's managed to get his way in as well here through the offices. Lays a couple more shots to fire down, 60 health to go on him, but Panico, Silence, both inside of the bomb site is Astro as well, right on the other side of the locker.
Looks like they're trying to open up some angles in there, see if they can take damage or take them down from far away, not getting close just yet, as they have a minute left to play with.
Now Young and King George are on the outside balcony by the window of window of B. You've got Canadian NVK pushing in towards offices. Last one gonna have to watch that flank. That's gonna have to be Necrox. He's gotta watch the flank. I'm sure he's watching the stairs, but it looks like Canadian finally gets taken out by Astro. A 4-on-4, still 45 seconds to go. We're gonna keep an eye here on Astro, trying to get another kill in NVK. Nicked his knees a little bit, but that's gonna be okay as he's got away for the time being. Finally gets him down, however Young gets finished as he hops on through. And there's going to be another kill. Nade goes through, but gets taken up by the ADS. King George rushes on in and gets killed off here. Silence, though, getting NVK. King George picking up the kill to Gohan. 3-on-3. The C4, though, from underneath will destroy King George, and Panico's going to get that kill. Silence still on the other side of the wall here. Necrox going to turn his back, take a couple bullets. Panico's trying to come up. Bullets go flying and killing him. Last one alive is going to be Silence. Young and Necrox here going up against Silence. There are 7 seconds to go. No one's got the fuser. He's going to rush on in, and he gets the kill. Silence gets Necrox, and Gohan got Young down for the count. We are still in it, 4-4, going to overtime.
Man, him predicting on the wrong side there. Imagine if he'd actually predicted him on the correct side. That really could have gone the other way. But that was really well played by Silence there, just holding his angle, holding it tight, waiting for him to come to him. Managed to make that kill. You could see a little bit of desperation at the end from Continuum. They had a really good round, though. I think it went a little back and forth. Continuum played pretty strong. We're definitely seeing it getting closer and closer. We're in overtime for a reason. We're in overtime because both teams are figuring out what the other team's doing, starting to adapt to it, starting to get those kills, and you're seeing that rivalry, for example, between Astro and NVK really becoming a huge factor in whether or not they win or lose these. Not the deciding factor, but definitely weakening some of their strongest killers.
So, I mean, I'm thinking, what are the teams thinking right now? I mean, they're here. We've just gone to overtime. I feel like both teams have been able to take a big sigh of relief at the moment, for a moment, until this round begins, which it is right now. But I mean, the fact that we've got so many kills from so many different players. I mean, we see Astro at the top, 13 kills. I think that was NVK at the top on his team, getting 9 kills. I mean, plenty of kills to go around. Each of the teams are each holding their own. This is the match of what I thought the first game was going to be like on Bank. Yeah,
it was definitely not Dexterity's map compared to how Continuum plays it. This is a map they're more comfortable on, but this is the map we were also expecting them to do the best on. And the fact that it's still this close, that it's going to overtime, spells well for Continuum, though, taking them on the map that they're really strong on. So even if they don't win this, Continuum are still in a really great place, starting with a 5-0, you know, maybe losing but getting really close on the map that they're strong on. That bodes well going into map 3 if we make it there.
Yep. And so we are here, first round of overtime. It's going to be the first one to 6 now. And Canadian's going to start it off here on the east parking lot, or west parking lot.
Interesting pre-fires through that wall, just in case someone's hanging out there.
Now again, NVK is going to pre-fire and get the camera down as King George is going to drone ahead of him.
That mute jammer's being a little bit of a pain for him, it looks like. Interesting use of the angle at the top floor there. You don't see a lot of people repel through there, but it does make a nice way to shoot at some roamers that might not be as careful of that main atrium area.
Ooh, Panico getting the first shot onto Young, getting rid of the Blackbeard early on.
I don't think Young was usually critical to the attack, but that definitely is going to hurt not having that extra firepower.
So with 2/3 of the round still to go, it's a 5-on-4. NVK's now here on the east balcony, as well as Necrox. They're going to force their way over to the B site. Astro looks like he might be in locker where he was previously. And now we still have Gohan. He's the roamer. He's the smoke that's underneath of everything, trying to come around.
It was interesting to see that hesitation from NVK, who we've usually seen playing very bold and fast. He must be taking some calls from Canadian, some kind of pivots that they're doing, or he's waiting for Necrox to do something for him. But it's interesting to see that slowdown there shows that they're thinking and trying to make this round count.
Yeah, Necrox wanted to make sure he didn't trip over the drone, so he decided to kill it off. But he's here right where Young used to be.
Yeah.
So Young getting picked off here, that means someone else needs to take control of that window, and that's been placed on the shoulders of Necrox.
That doesn't mean that window's important, though. So yeah, a minute to go is plenty of time when they still, got this much progress, but they're going to have to get in pretty soon, or this is going to start falling apart.
And we are still seeing Gohan underneath. He doesn't need to retreat back on site. I don't think CTM knows it. So he will be able to come up in the perfect time if he has that timing right. You see King George moving on in. Canadians inside of offices. Gas Grenade's going to push that off a little bit more. There's that C4 from underneath. However, it didn't do any damage just yet. Now Canadian knows someone's here. So with that, he looks on over towards the office drop, decides not to pursue it. Cameraman going to be again another pre-fire, and look, the Canadian cameraman are going to go head-to-head once more. NVK picks up Gohan, and now Canadian is going to rush around, but will be taken out by cameraman. 3 on 4 at the moment. You still have cameraman being not drastically hurt, down to about 60 health here. As we've got King George hopping on over into the offices. He's going to be the next one to engage and get the shot onto Astro. Next one's going to be involving cameraman and King George here.
That shot into Astro could be the game changer here, bringing it to 3-3 with Astro down. Does give Continuum a little bit of advantage, although they have lost Canadian, but they do still have NVK.
Now there are 13 seconds left to go. You had King George actually jump over the balcony. He won't necessarily be able to get back in time. Sledge is going to go down. Silence gets one into NVK. Necrox is going to hop into the window here. King George is still going to try to get this plant down, but he gets taken out, and so does Necrox.
Definitely well played by Dexterity there. It was looking a little shaky for them, but they managed to get those kills, and then once the kills started happening, you could see the panic at that point as the timer counted down. I think they just didn't have enough map control that time to be able to make it work. I think they needed that Blackbeard in that window as a big part of what they were doing, and then throwing Necrox on that window meant they have a lot less firepower somewhere else, and you could see that really weakening kind of the spearheads of their attack.
Yep.
So it's one of those situations where an operator may not be the most important operator in terms of his gadget or his ability, but his job is important to a particular strategy, and now they're going to have to adapt if that situation comes up again.
So I think what we're going to see here from Dexterity is getting their information, getting their ducks aligned first before they go and make that push, which is what you expect to see from almost any team. I mean, you don't want to have a team push in one after one after one. It's got to be a group effort to get the win here. And they're one win away from taking this to the third map. They're one win away from still being in it. But on the flip side of that, they're 2 rounds away from walking on out of here.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it's on Continuum to win this round if they want to stay in it and have a chance. But having that security of having won that first map does make it so there's a little bit less pressure on them. And lack of pressure is probably a good thing for them here, so that they can focus on just winning these next 2 rounds. Dexterity, though, is going to be feeling a little bit better being up in the overtime like this, knowing that they just have to win 1 round. It's kind of a match point for the overtime.
Now we do have Gohan and Panico starting out by the east road. They're moving on forward. Gohan gets rid of the cam, then pushes on even further on towards the bomb site. Looks like he might pop into Tellers. I think he opened up the window a little bit, going to scoot on over towards the north part of the map, though.
They're definitely trying to get into positions on the outside here before they make an approach in. Might be pushing a little too aggressively, might not. They don't have... Canadian isn't over in that room there like you'd expect. You got Young in there instead.
Now what I want to see, Young sat in this position last time. He, I believe, picked up 1 kill, but then got spotted out and taken out. So here's actually going to be Panico, possibly throwing a nade, or he's throwing a nade in obviously to get rid of some barbed wire, but almost able to get underneath of the filing cabinet there.
Yeah, Necrox there having to panic the last second because of that nade. Back off from it.
So here we have cameraman outside on the east balcony stairwell, looking in, getting a drone on. Gohan's going to push into Tellers now. He's got to look up, though, because there might be a hole. And there are some teams that end up, especially Dexterity, looking through. There's the drop hatch. He's got to look up, but he didn't. And that's going to be the kill from Canadian.
That's definitely going to hurt their Ash being down in terms of like being able to approach and get into the building. They're going to need to take control of some part of the map if they want to make progress here, especially without Ash.
Now the gas grenade Actually, not even going to hurt the scooter in, and that's going to be NVK getting taken down by Astro. Necrox as well. The gas grenade finally going to do some damage and force them out, but Astro able to get those 2 kills. Monstrous. Capitão Air is going to hop on over here, and Canadian still going to hop on top of the desk. Might get the kill, but going to drop through in the return. Doesn't have the C4 to do any damage, but he gets the hole from underneath. He gets rid of Silence, and there's going to be a 2-on-3 now. Young and Canadian, last 2 defenders alive. A minute 10 to go, still plenty of time. The diffuser's in the hands of Astro as Young has gotten into the offices waiting for more intel. Now Canadian will be taken out here by Panico, last one alive. It looks like Panico going to get another one, and we're going to be going into overtime.
That is map number 2 for Dexterity, showing that they also have what it takes to fight Continuum, but it was a close fight. I was definitely down to the wire there. I mean, winning 6-4 is still better than winning 6-5, but it's still not a huge gap like a 5-0. So this next map really needs to be their map if they want to decide, because regardless of whether it's their map or not, they still have to fight hard, as we saw on Border.
I think what happened, or what might happen in the next map, is what you just mentioned. The 6-4 is better than the 6-5. In my eyes, I think when the match is closer, you have that adrenaline rush. You just start going on instinct. You're going on your senses, and you're ready for the quickest of reactions. Yeah. And so when you get to you lose 5-0 or you win 5-0, however that may be, to me that's not necessarily going to bring as much motivation as it does when you clutch a 5-6 or a 6-4, whatever it may be. But still, these teams are going to be progressing to the 3rd map. And if I remember correctly, that map is going to be Canal, right?
I think so.
No, Canal was taken out. I'm drawing a blank on which map it is, but Consulate.
That's right, Consulate, yeah.
Consulate is the map. So that's going to be the next one that gets played here between these 2 teams. Again, it's a team, knowing the players from CTM, they formerly were known as Kingdom Esports back in, I think, Season 1, Season 2. And I remember being terrified of playing these guys on Consulate.
And Consulate, I think, lends itself really well to the way Canadian plays, the way he'll play that bottom down. We saw Wilkie doing it earlier quite a bit on Consulate against Era, taking advantage of that pulse, using that verticality. I think in the late Season 2, Season 3 meta, Consulate became a very vertical map compared to how it was originally. And so that's something I think we're going to see from both teams.
Yeah, and so let's take a look at some of those replays, because there were so many on this map. We're going to start it off with NVK, though. And here it is, Canadian. And now this is actually the witness spot. Canadian was here. The bait had come out, and NVK popping on out, getting the double kill, and the repelled Gohan, I believe it was.
And that was for his 4K round, I think.
It was. This was the first round of the day. There's going to be kill number 3.
Amazing. That was a really good start. Unfortunately, NVK lost a little momentum after a while. I do know personally that NVK can be someone that gets a little bit on tilt. It's just something that's part of his personality. But when he's not on tilt, he is really on fire. So
when he's not on tilt, he's on par.
Yeah. So I think it's very much okay to be someone like that if you can perform most of the time.
Now this was a very nice shot by Canadian, just barely seeing the head of Gohan there as he came on up the west stairwell and just got a pop shot.
Yeah. This plant by Young, where he just pulls off at just the right time to land those shots. Takes a few of his own, but...
Now, this was very cool. I thought Panico was going to get the upper hand. Unfortunately, I think he blew it just a hair too soon because he was already back, didn't get a line of sight in. By the time he had that line of sight into the window, King George was already there to get the kill, and then you just had Necrox and Young finishing off the round.
Yeah, it was still a great attempt, though. I really like the style, at least, of that. There's always something stylistic about that swinging breach.
Here's the final round of Dexterity winning this map, taking down Panico. Very nice job getting both of those final kills.
See the excitement on those guys' faces. Like, we're not out of this yet. We could still take this on map number 3.
Agreed.
I have a feeling they're probably pretty good at Consulate. I don't think this is going to be another 5-0 kind of situation from either team, as I know Continuum are going to be very strong on this. So it's going to be just who's better.
I think this team is going to bring out the best in both of the, or this map is going to bring out the best in both of these teams.
Absolutely.
What I feel like from CTM, I know they are very roamer heavy. I know that they enjoy trying to get that intel and then utilize it to the best of their ability to come around for a flank or whatever it may be. But I feel like Border and Consulate play very similar in the style of being able to drop from a hatch, rotate around, drop from a hatch, rotate around.
Absolutely.
Especially on that top floor bomb site or even in the basement.
Yeah, I do think that is going to be a huge factor, as we saw both teams doing a lot of that, where they drop around and rotate around. I do think, though, Continuum are going to be slightly more prepared for that now that they've kind of seen Bank and Border in terms of how they play. I mean, Bank probably didn't actually give them a ton of information on how the other team plays in terms of, like, it was kind of a stomp.
Yep.
Whereas the second map really gave them a lot more information, and you saw them lose the first 2 rounds, come back and adjust hard, then Dexterity come back and adjust, and continue to adjust until eventually Dexterity came out ahead, but it was still close. Now the question is, whoever has kind of the better set of strats that's going to like not be adjusted for as well, I think is going to come out very strong on this map. And I think it could start out with a 2-point either side rather than a 1-to-1.
Yeah, I have a feeling that we're, like you said, we're going to start off on a 2-0, but I feel like we're going to get into another 4-4 situation. I feel like we're going to get into another 5-6 or 6-4, whatever it may be. But ultimately, there is going to be one single team that walks away.
Yeah.
As going into tomorrow's grand finals, and another team that's just going to have to go home without a trophy.
Yeah, and I think the farthest the points will be is probably a 5-3. Like that's the most drastic situation I can see with the way these teams have been playing, at least on Border. I mean, it is a toss-up though. We see how much maps matter, so it could go either way. But at least Dexterity now are not on such a back foot. They're going to feeling a little bit more confident going into this, especially having lost the map and then won the next map. That's much harder to do than winning a map and then losing a map. So they're going to be in a better place.
This is what we were talking about on the analyst desk too, about how if you're the team that wins the first map, you get that unconscious feeling of, okay, there's 2 maps left that we have to win. There's 1 map that we have to win in the next 2.
Yeah.
Which could lead you to not play as effectively or as efficiently on the second map because you're thinking, hey, there's still 1 more after. You might not be thinking that internally or thinking that
Slash
consciously.
was thinking that.
Yeah, Slash
consciously.
Yeah. But no. So now that Santos Dexterity has gotten map number 2, they've got the momentum. There was a very, very close match. They've got the momentum going to map number 3. Are they going to bring it forward? It's going to have to be a few short moments until we find out.
I still think I'm favoring Continuum a little, just based off of what I've seen from their performance. Their mistakes that they've made, I feel like, are correctable.
All I know is I'm very scared of playing either of these teams.
Absolutely. These teams are, like, especially that first Bank map was terrifying. Just the sheer amount of confidence you see from, like, NVK and Canadian, the way they move would terrify me. Same with Astro. Like, just that confidence when you see them go around, take those angles, pull out the ADS, just take those shots. They're not messing around. This is maps they know. They know the flow. They know the angles. They know the pre-fire spots. It's not a situation where it's like, oh, I hope I can catch them off guard. No, it's a situation where you better catch them off guard with 2 people or you're dead.
And so, I mean, talking about Bank, talking about Border, these maps, some aspects play very similar. I mean, they are 2 and 3 stories apiece, but they're very different. They're very different. One's got a huge opening. That's the majority of the map, the majority of it. But looking on towards Consulate, it is another 3-story map, of a map that, like I said, plays similar to Border, albeit only 2 floors for Border. I just want to know what bomb sites are going to be the primary bomb sites for each of the teams.
Yeah, I mean, the dominant one we've seen in the current meta is taking the top floor first. And that's something that was both in NA and EU. I could see Santos being a team that maybe wants to play the bottom floor as well, which I think against Continuum probably would be a mistake.
I feel like Continuum's primary bomb site, like I said, is going to be top floor. I feel like their secondary might be first floor. Yeah, I don't think they necessarily like the basement. Reason I say that is because you do have the Capital, the Montaigne, all these things that are basically just an extra wall trying to come on in and then get that plant down. It makes it very difficult to hold down to that bottom site, whereas the first floor, you can then hold on to it from above.
And I think that's what they would, that's a strong suit for them, for sure. And I completely agree. I think if they were to choose a secondary bomb site, that middle bomb site plays much more into their strengths.
Yep.
So that's something that, I think we will see both teams having to play, especially if they win their defensive sites. But I also think that the bottom floor is going to play a very important role in terms of roamers. You're going to see people like Canadian hanging out downstairs or NVK using that to rotate around and be an important part of how those things go. So if you're trying to control that top floor, don't ride out the bottom floor. You need to control the top floor and that bottom floor as an attacker, or you're going to get in a situation where you think you've got control of the top floor, and all of a sudden someone comes up on you that you don't expect when you're moving down to that second floor.
We've seen it on Chalet multiple times yesterday and today.
Absolutely.
The fact that as an attacker, you have the option to just go from the top down or from the bottom up, but ultimately it's a matter of making sure that if you are going to be one or the other, you need to cover all the routes back up to you or back down to you.
Yeah, and there are multiple stairwells as there are on most maps, although the spiral stairs leave you a lot more exposed than some stairwells do. So the yellow stairs becomes a huge part of a lot of the gameplay, and that skylight could be used to counter it. So they may be able to play smart and use and cut off some of those stairs when they're trying to stop these roamers. And if they can get good at stopping the roamers, I think we'll see a very different style of play because roamers have been such an important part so far. So this map might be a little bit better for that if you're able to control those, but controlling stairs is never an easy task.
Yeah, I think when we talk about bottom or bomb site being on the bottom, I think the least utilized stairs or the least utilized from a defensive standpoint are those back stairs by Visa. The reason I say this is because many times, from a defensive standpoint, you're focused on, okay, they're outside garage, they're outside yellow, or they're on yellow stairs. A lot of times you think, okay, do I need to go up circle stairs and go for a flank? Yeah. That leads right into the yellow hall almost. Yeah. You've already got someone looking at that. Come up those back stairs by kitchen up to Visa, and now you're able to come around for that flank. Either come around on the main floor or come around top floor.
Yeah.
So with that, guys, we are going to head on over and watch at those bomb sites as Consulate is going to be our final map. Let's take a look. So here we are. This is the overtime map between these two teams. Santos Dexterity going up against Continuum. Round number 1, and we're already seeing a new operator come on out. That's going to be Buck that we haven't seen before in either of these two maps, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Buck's a very useful operator on vertical maps like this. You see him, especially, say, for example, they do take the bottom stairs, or the bottom basement. You can Buck open that piano floor pretty easily, get a lot of angles down, or play from the top to the middle, things like that. Although it does look like they're going to be playing in the console office meeting room, top floor. So that does kind of reveal their preference in terms of dexterity. So it is similar to the other meta in EU and NA.
Yep. Going for that top floor site, just like we saw both teams want to do on Border.
That does mean, of course, though, starting on a site that is kind of the current meta does give Continuum a little bit of advantage in terms of, like, we know how to handle this. So it is not the wild card thing that Santos might need sometimes to help counter Continuum's, like, strats.
Now we are seeing open a few of the drop hatches that are going to lead to some of these follow-throughs, some of these rotation routes that we do know Dexterity loves to use.
This window becomes definitely an important part of putting pressure on here. So they want to get that barbed wire because a lot of people will try and swing in those windows to go for that plant right there. Putting that barbed wire, though, make a big difference as it's not the easiest thing to nade all the time.
So Panico's going to be staying inside of the piano room here. Also, he's going to get droned out, though, as he moves on over to the bathroom. He's got to be very cautious now because now that they know someone's first floor in a room that they want to take advantage of, you want to get control of that piano room, of that bathroom, so you can play that vertical game from underneath, which is something Continuum love to do. They now need to be aware of that Valkyrie. They now know that they have a Valkyrie there that they're going to deal with, and that's going to be Panico.
It looks like King George trying to spook him out or maybe see if he can get an angle on him. Not getting anything just yet. You see them really concerned about that piano room, a little focused on it. Hopefully Necrox or King George can get the guy in there. Otherwise, they're going to be a situation where they might have to deal with someone they don't know where he's coming from.
So having 3 players repelled on here could be very dangerous, but again, they're going to have Necrox throwing out the Claymore there, hoping that no one's going to drop on out of the window.
That was a good choice opening that window as well because you kind of tempt them to use that.
You tempt them to use it as well as it's the middle window, so now they have to look left or right. They don't know which way to go. It's a 50-50 chance.
Absolutely.
But a very good line of sight here from Canadian, looking on into the corner office cubby, which we don't see anyone in, but there is a rook inside of the bathroom right across that main reception lobby.
See those pro strats where they know angles that people might be at, firing at them anyways, even if they're not 100% sure.
Now there is still Panic downstairs on the main floor. He's going to be inside the bathroom. All he's doing right now is just gathering intel. Silence is actually going to have a nade thrown right at him, and NVK thinks better of it. Silence still sitting right here. Going to go up for the nade throw. Forces, however, Silent, though, has that ADS right in front of its face to stop it, and that forces NVK to rethink throwing the final nade.
That was some good discipline from NVK not pushing that, though.
More bullets are going to go flying in through the window towards Gohan. Gohan's going to retreat back to the circle stairs. Courtyard, though, is going to be under control here of Young. NVK, though, getting the first kill into Gohan as he pops around, and that's going to be the first kill, like we said here. So we've got still Necrox outside on the window. We're going to see Silent and Astro both get taken out by Canadian and King George. However, Canadian finally gets taken down here by Cameraman from the main hallway top floor. Cameraman now looking out towards the window. Young's popping up over to it. That's the Blackbeard. You don't want to go on a long distance fight with him. Panico got the shot on the Necrox. He's coming on through, though. NVK at the top of the yellow stairs, giving away his position. A 3 on 2 with 40 seconds left to go.
Looks like he's going against the shotgun, though, and he does have the advantage against Panico if Panico tries to push that. So Panico's going to have to go around from a different side.
Now you've got Panico inside of the A, or inside or whatever, and Young here taking out Cameraman. Last one alive is going to be Panico. He was inside of Piano trying to shoot upwards, but King George already knows he's there. Young's on top of the desk, and it looks like he will not be killed off through the Piano, where NVK is going to go shooting through. King George is also outside. Panico's now trying to rotate on out, but he's got a hole he's got to crawl through. There's 10 seconds left to go, and NVK is there. The long-range shotgun will not land the kill, and NVK is going to get the first round for his team.
That was a good drive by Panico. I like how he gave himself some routes, but he was in a situation where he was pinned out by far too many people in that Piano room, and they knew he was playing there in the first place, so they didn't necessarily fall into his traps in a way that cost them too much. But it was a nice play by Panico. I like the way he was setting things up for them right there. It's just a bummer for him that he got caught so early doing it. And the shotgun was not necessarily the best choice in that particular engagement.
It would have been good if it was pre 5.2.
Yeah.
Or whenever that shotgun nerf was, 4.2.
Yeah.
Whatever it was.
I mean, obviously he had the shotgun because he was preparing for a different kind of entry, a different kind of battle to deal with, and NVK had the advantage with that L85. But overall, I thought it was still decently well played by Dexterity. Continuum just ended up with the advantage there in the end.
Yeah, so I feel like what Continuum is doing here is they're going with this bottom bomb site, knowing, and in my eyes, I believe that this is their least favorite, or not one of the lesser favorite bomb sites. I think they still feel the top 4 is where it's at for them, but I think they want to get a win on here, then come back around and be able to just dominate on their main primary bomb site when it gets down to the second defensive hold for them. Yeah,
and something Continuum have done is like really explore bomb sites that are considered poor. Like we've used the example of Master Bedroom on Chalet, for example. Using this bottom one, they have some strategy for it. They want to take stuff that people aren't as used to dealing with and use that to their advantage because people think it's weak or people think, oh, you just attack it like this. They're going to play into that. They're going to say, oh, well, if everyone's going to attack Piano Room when it comes to attacking the bomb site, we're going to play into that. We're going to let them go to attack Piano. We're going to use that to our advantage and turn it on them.
Now, Dexterity knowing that Canadian is the main Pulse player for their team and knowing that he is such a viable player, I would expect to see that IQ play come out once more like they tried to do before. It didn't work out the first time. The second time, it worked out fantastic for them. So I'd expect to see that right off the get-go so they don't have that slump of, okay, now it's time to finally go up against the Pulse.
Yeah, I agree. And it might just been a choice of, like, we really need these other operators even more. And so we can't afford that. Now, for example, they're not bringing a Hibana, but they are bringing a Thermite. That means if they have to deal with Bandit juggling on the garage, they're not going to be able to do it as easily. So it's a situation where they had to make choices. But they
C4 right on the doorway, or right on the window way, doesn't hurt Astro. But now King George knows that Astro's on the window and vice versa. Looks like he's going to get spotted out and get taken down by Astro. A nice way to begin the round here for Dexterity.
That's a hard room to sit in and be able to counter people out there. It was a nice try with the C4, but definitely a better angle there from Astro and good timing.
Now with just over half the round left to go, Canadian is going to get that C4 kill onto the Gohan that is playing Ash. And I tell you what, now Canadian has given away his position, but it was worth it. Getting rid of that Gohan. Now he's going to stay on top of these underutilized stairs as we were mentioning before.
Definitely something he has in mind there. He's planning on someone going across that.
Now Astro does not have any more Twitch drones, so that means it is going to be up to Young and Silence to play this mind game back and forth as to will this wall get opened up. Cameraman's going to have to come around, try to help him out with those EMP grenades, but I don't see him on site just yet.
That's a lot of time burnt up to not have this garage open as well.
Said 60 seconds to go. Finally, the EMPs are flying towards the door. Panico's also here. Going to throw an incendiary arrow to the side, but the battery. Oh, and it looks like Twitch pushes on in. Astro will get taken out by NVK at the bottom of the yellow stairs.
Grenade out.
Nade finally gets thrown on in, and will the wall get opened up? They've only got 45 seconds to do so. This is about the time where you need to make that audible and go for the drop hatches instead.
Yeah, it's definitely not looking good for a garage push, as even once you get that garage door open, it takes quite a bit of work to get in there. Not something you can just sprint into afterwards. This is definitely not looking like Dexterity has it.
With 30 seconds left, they know the garage is not getting opened up. The gas grenades are going to push them back. They still have to get through barbed wire. They don't have nades for it. This is not looking good for Dexterity. A 3-on-4, still 20 seconds left to go. They're going to come on down. It looks like Canadian picks up one. Silence is going to have to jump on in. He does so. Canadian is there to get another kill. And now he's got to wait for Panico to pop on through, as that is the diffuser. But it looks like he's going around towards yellow stairs, which I want to say is where Necrox is, trying to go for some more shots down onto him. NVK is going to be the one to pick up the kill.
Well, as I said, taking the least utilized bomb spot and using it to their advantage, I think they just didn't seem to know how to approach the attack on it. I don't think they were prepared for that to be the bomb site. You saw them indecisive about where to attack, how to take it. You didn't see them going for that piano room take, for example, or trying to get that garage door open ASAP. Just says to me like they didn't know that that was coming. Continuum played it really smart, picking that bomb spot and being well prepared for it. Just threw them completely off.
I think when it got down to 45 seconds and that garage was still not opened up, you needed to make the audible call there, not when there were 20 seconds left.
Absolutely.
That delay in communication cost them that round in my eyes.
Yeah, and you saw that they wanted to push into those yellow stairs and try and make it work from there, but Twitch getting killed on those stairs just cost them pretty much the round at that point.
So it looks like Dexterity, not winning that top 4, is going to decide to go downstairs, see if they can hold it a little bit different. Not going with that anticipated middle floor bomb site, which we were both thinking.
We'll see if that throws off Continuum.
We will have to see that.
They don't have a thermite, for example, so they would have to use the Hibana to open the garage.
What they do have going for them, though, is the mute and the bandit together. So if they can mute it and then realize, okay, they've muted, or that we've muted these pellets from the X-Cairo, now it's going to be up to bandit to possibly sit on down there and destroy them once they're muted before they start going off.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of ways to play it, to take advantage of the fact that you have the garage door with 2 operators that can deny it. That's assuming Continuum even want to push that garage door. Sometimes you've seen just attacks from other sides, like that the cafeteria side, really work out and not needing to pressure that garage, but having the garage open creates so much pressure. It's usually worth it as long as it doesn't cost you like 2 minutes to get it open.
Now, that was a very good Valk cam. We saw when King George was first staring at this balcony, he saw it on the top of his, or I saw it on the top of his screen. The second time he looked at it, the top of the scope was actually covering it. So it was a very well-placed Valk cam from Young. I'm sorry, not from Young, from Panico.
Astro doing a little roaming here. If they can pick him off, this will be big.
Canadian phase gets spotted twice. Astro good for the shots a third time, and he still misses. And this is going to mean Astro gives away his position. Canadian might go push in for him, or he might just continue to focus on this garage wall.
Looks like he wants to recollect his thoughts, do some camera work first.
Looks like NVK spots out the camera, gets rid of it, but the still one cam outside of the main balcony is going to give possible good intel, a little bit more than they would have had if it wasn't out there or in some other location that got destroyed.
Interesting, Astro rotated back to the cafeteria.
Oh, Canadian peeks on around, and cameraman gets him down for the count as they are trying to cover Gohan, who's sitting right inside, trying to get this wall from being opened up.
So they don't have the door open yet. You see Gohan placing a battery and just deciding to bail.
Places it down, thinking that he might be able to stop it before it goes detonating, but instead, he doesn't get it in time and has to back on after. Now, King George is outside of yellow stairwell as NVK's up here by the soda machines on the main floor. He's going to get on cam, possibly make sure that there's nothing happening from the side, while King George is again going to focus his way here on the yellow stairs.
He's going to have to watch out for cameraman, who was watching that angle really clearly.
Bomb located by attackers.
Still a 5-on-4, 60 seconds to go. This is further progressed than Dexterity had before because the garage has now been opened up. Will they be able to get inside? I want to say so. They got it opened.
Yeah.
Now it's just a matter of what side are they going to push in towards.
I think it's a matter of Panico at this point being the wild card here.
NVK picks up one of the Gohan, turning it into a 4-on-4 now. Panico coming around for the side. He gets the kill right there, and NVK comes around, goes for King George. Astro and cameraman each get one themselves. King George finally peeks around, gets one, and now it's a 3-on-1. King George, last one alive. And we might see Dexterity get their first round here, and it looks like Astro peeks around from the driver's side and able to get King George down.
Well, it looks like both teams able to successfully defend that garage. This is good for Dexterity's momentum here. They definitely didn't want to go to it, but like we said before, those first 2 rounds were going to go 2-1 of the teams.
Yep.
As the other team needs the time to adjust. So adjust they have. Dexterity played it a little bit differently. We are seeing that first floor now that we were talking about earlier. So it is something that could be played quite a bit differently.
I think what this is going to allow CTM to do is to utilize the entire map for rotation.
Yeah.
Think of it like Chalet. When you choose that kitchen and trophy room, you have the top 4 and you have the bottom 4. You've got drop hatches to head downward. Use the outside stairwells to come on up, and then keep that flow going, keep that momentum and that circulation on the map going.
Absolutely, because if you play just the top floor and you're forced out of it, you're forced to use stairs to get back up. If you're playing the middle floor, you have stairs to go up from the bottom, but you also have drop hatches to come down from the top and use that vertical play. So it is definitely advantageous to do that. And that is kind of counter to the original meta of this game, like Season 1, things like that, where the bottom and the top were usually the best.
So you can see some of these drop hatches are getting opened up, though, especially the one inside a bathroom, middle one right behind this reception area. And what Necrox is also doing is pre-opening up the drop hatches above. So again, this is what that flow of movement is going to do for Continuum. They're going to utilize this to its maximum to keep the attackers on their toes, always watching their flank.
Yeah, they definitely want to like let them come into that Oval Office room there so they can try and take them out from above if they need to. That's definitely a situation. I wouldn't be surprised to see Canadian playing below a couple of those rooms, using that pulse, getting ready to C4 up. Something we've seen him be very strong at.
Now, it looks like here that none of Dexterity is going to start out by the police line there. They've all managed to come in from the back, starting out towards the north and west side of the map here.
Looks like that Claymore is placed down in preparation for them to possibly jump out that window. That's the nice thing about Claymores. They do help you watch your back from those defenders that just like to pop outside, which is something we've seen Canadian do sometimes. So it wouldn't surprise me. Last in the finals, we saw him doing a lot of jumping out of windows and things like that. Now he's playing a little more cautious down in basements with the pulse device to try and get people from below.
Now, I am surprised to see him on that for such a long time, traveling throughout the entire basement, because that is a blinder for the most part. You cannot hear too well because you do have that heartbeat sensor running around in your ear, so it makes it more difficult to especially keep that out for a long period of time.
Definitely got to be feeling pretty confident that that basement has not been breached yet. Gohan trying to feel out this bomb site, though, see if there's anything they can do to get in there and get a plant down.
Now, King George is going to be upstairs. Looks like inside a connector. Panico might get a drone in here to spot him out. He does. And with that, now King George needs to be on his toes. He's looking down towards the Visa stairwell, but also has his back to Yellow. So they could be getting flanked from either side. Gohan, I believe, is actually on top of the roof, looking to decide when he wants to make a push and from what portion. He's going to choose that connector window. King George is going to pop on out, go for the shots, and he gets him down because he heard the rappel happening. A very good set of ears on that man.
That definitely was a little risky, but totally paid off taking that repeller down.
Now, Young is also going to pick up on Astro, turning it into a 5-on-3. Silence has been injured quite much, and you've got Panico here right outside of, I want to say, the window here to the west. But you do have Cameraman outside of the main balcony. However, the Young's camera is going to be great intel. Spots Cameraman right there, tells him, hey, he's out here in the main front door. Get ready for that push on in.
See Panico there trying to use that skylight cutoff in his rotation to control Piano Room from a little bit of a different angle. Young playing patient. Silence is going to have to time something well if he wants to get some progress in there.
They need to get Young out of this bathroom because he's going to hear the barbed wire. He just needs to go around for a very quick peek, and he's going to get these kills. He knows the exact line of sight for this pre-fire, and he's just waiting for it. Cameraman's trying to move on in, and finally gets banged with the second flashbang there. Canadian, however, will call it on out. King George comes around from the top floor to get Panico down, but Cameraman takes down Young. Another plant here might be happening. King George good for one, but NVK and Canadian each get a piece. Cameraman and Silence are going to be killed off.
Still looking pretty good here, despite that one-round loss for Continuum. Threw it up through the hatch. We've seen a lot of that lately. Teams really using those hatches in the vertical play to say, like, C4 doesn't have to be just stuck on the floor. We can chuck it up at angles too, because no one expects it. You don't walk somewhat near a hatch and expect a little package flying up at you exploding.
That is, so the C4s from underneath, from drop hatches or floor openings, whatever it may be, I think that is the new evolution of a lot of non-basement floor metas.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw Era pop it out here on Chalet. There was Snake, threw it up, not even through the drop hatch, just through a shotgun hole that he made in the floor. Popped it up through the window of master bedroom balcony. We just saw the same thing here from Canadian. And so this is what you're going to start seeing teams do. This is going to be part of that meta when you're playing a floor, playing a bomb site that has a bottom floor to it.
Yeah, and we've seen Continuum now win 2 of the inferior bomb sites, according to the meta at least, which is the bottom floor and the middle floor. So now Dexterity are going to the top floor, which is still considered the best bomb site, but Continuum have done a good job tearing it apart. So it's a situation where Continuum playing a bit differently than the meta have been doing really well. And that's the thing, is that we're Dexterity basing their plans on this map off of the current NA meta, which wouldn't do any good against what Continuum was doing, which that sounds like Continuum's kind of plan to me.
Yep. So here we have, again, Panico's going to be stationed inside of that first floor, inside of the bathroom and the piano room. Last time he wasn't necessarily pushed or engaged until he actually made himself visible by getting a kill first.
Yeah, they kind of kept him trapped a little bit in there.
King George is going to rappel up to the top floor. NVK is going to be heading here. It looks like Necrox, though, is going to be leading the way with the Valkyrie, or with his camera. Spots Panico there, and now NVK has his senses ready. He's going to spot Panico to the left. This is where he's going to move on in even further. C4 is going to open up the drop hatch, so he's got an escape route. He's going to make sure that he tries to bait NVK in here. Pulling out that SMG-11, ready for that close range attack. He spots the toes of him, goes out for the shots, and he finally gets taken down. Panico gets out and then immediately escapes with that drop hatch.
Those are some nice drop shots by Panico, dodging those bullets in the last second there. Took a lot of damage, but surviving is what matters.
You could see the mindset that NVK had going into that. He knew that there was going to be something close range. He pulled out the weapon that has a higher rate of fire. He knew that that's what was going to be happening. It's just a matter of he just didn't get the upper hand on it.
Yeah, but at least doing some damage to him helps. It's better than just getting caught off guard completely. The question is, who's going to finish him off so they don't have to worry about that roamer anymore?
It's now Canadian over here on the east window. That's going to be right outside, I believe, of the offices, top floor. The admin office, and Gohan is still on the top of or on the middle of those circle stairs. Necrox wants to push on in and not quite sure if there's still going to be someone there. Looks as though Cameraman took out a drone here as it pushed him on into the admin office right outside of Printer.
Push is starting to come here. This is an old style push where we used to see a lot of pushes from admin office. Looks like Canadian's doing that right now.
Ooh, it looks like the nade went down. Cameraman. Canadian's going to look to the left, and he gets it. Goes on over and looks for another kill, but he will drop Diffuser inside of the Printer office as Astro gets that kill. Now it's a 4-on-3. Diffuser still inside of the building, but away from most of the other players here. King George is actually going to move on in and pick it on up, but he's got to be cautious because his buddy did just die there moments ago. Silence, however, he's going to be inside of the bomb side of A, corner office, and you also have Young outside on the balcony.
Necrox very cautious as they know he's going to be on that side of the map.
Necrox picking up that kill into Panico, who finally got himself back onto the main floor, not thinking there's someone going to be outside of that main entrance point. And Necrox deciding to show him who's actually there. King George turns the corner, and he gets taken down as well from Gohan. That's Diffuser again inside of that reception lobby. Gohan's going to be watching this windowsill as he knows Young is out there. Young's going to have to pop on in. He's going to do so, pre-fires, but Gohan is there to get the kill. Necrox is in the top main lobby, looking towards the reception area. He gets spotted out by the cam. Silence comes around from the cubby and able to get the shot down onto him.
Definitely seeing a lot of adaptation between both teams. They're trying to play things differently, but also setting up more solid defenses. That time they really had it down in terms of how to defend that top floor, baiting people around, using those roamers to kind of separate out. They really actually used the roamer to split the team. And in doing so, that's what kind of cost them. They didn't have the manpower to really take that control of that side of the map that they needed to when they came into admin office. Losing the diffuser over there not only burnt up time, but also made George have to put himself in kind of a precarious situation to kind of retrieve it and get that plant.
And so, I mean, you had talked about it before this match got underway, that this final map, someone was probably going to start out 2-0, but these teams were going to come back. It's now a 3-2. We're seeing Continuum on defense here, and they're going to be downstairs in the basement where they previously won. But I think Dexterity knows what they need to do now to get this in the bag.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Continuum even really want to play that top floor. They want to go for non-meta things and play this bottom again. Dexterity, though, going to have that chance to adapt. They're going to be thinking, okay, we need to get that garage door open immediately, assuming that they know this is going to be picked. I mean, they don't know that it's a gamble on a 3-bomb spot map when people are willing to pick non-meta maps. You don't really know. So picking
now,
the
what are
thermite.
these jammers being used for here? You got one on pipes, one on the ammo crate by the stairs. There's no drop hatch above there that's stopping that. What are they necessarily using those for?
I think they probably want to stop some of that drone movement and try and put them in places where they're not as easy to be shot. Places where it's going to be harder to counter them, maybe aren't going to be as exposed to, say, Thatcher. Although Thatcher is really going to have to be used to try and get that garage door open.
Yep.
So it looks like they definitely have some ideas. I mean, you don't place mute jammers lightly when you've been playing the game for this long. They definitely have some ideas in mind of how that works. They had to have tested it, right? That's what you do. You go into a custom game, you bring out some drones and some jammers, and you really test exactly where they hit.
And so we are underway here in the attack phase. They're looking for the Valk Cam. No one's going to hop on it just yet. Oh, it finally gets taken out. You can hear the crumble of the electronics there. Astro's finally going to get up here on the south window, right by the garage.
I like how it took 3 people to find that, just because they saw
They know it's there.
Out. Yeah.
It's just a matter of the more eyes on it, the quicker they'll find it. Will hopefully find it.
A lot of caution from Gohan there, waiting for those shots coming out from the hatch.
Now, diffuser has been dropped off right outside of the yellow stairs, and it doesn't look like anyone is around to pick it up. As I say that, we are going to have silence there. We had his back here to Panico, able to pick it up and move on forward. NVK and Necrox going to be downstairs and signed by pipes of Garage, as well as Young. You've got two roamers. You've got King George top floor, and you also have Canadian, who's here as well.
Sure, bottom floor, right? No, he's going to be playing the top as well, okay. Playing a different role than he usually does too, playing Bandit. Not something we see a lot from Canadian.
Now Canadian's gonna peek on over, and Astro looks at the perfect time to get Canadian killed.
Reloading.
That's not a good start to this round for a Continuum. But he was a roamer, so he did know the risks.
And King George is still gonna be up here. He knows that Astro's on that corner office window, probably already got himself inside, realizes the drop hatch is open, so now he knows he can escape through there should he need to. But right now, King George is still up here. Playing very, very cautiously. Astro's going to give away a little bit more of his position, giving King George some more details, some more information, but King George is fixated on that bathroom hallway. Astro thinking it's all clear, not hearing much from King George, is going to move on down the yellow stairs towards Gohan, who's inside a piano. And this is actually going to be fantastic for King George. They've not droned it out. He's going to be coming around for the flank. There's 40 seconds left to go. A 5-on-4 here. He's going to start making his move. Coming through the lobby, down the yellow stairs. Looks like Necrox picks up one onto Astro, and now he's going to be covering those stairwells. Gasconade's going to force Gohan back up right into the hands of King George, who's going to be coming around the stairs very shortly. Working his way down. Silence is going to be outside as well as Panico. They're going to capture Gohan here. King George about to pounce on his prey right there, but he doesn't get it. He barely misses. Silence able to get Young down for the count. 4-on-3. 15 seconds left to go. They're going to have to make a push here. Dexterity needs to push down the stairs, but the gas grenade is going to stop it. They're going to make sure it doesn't happen. King George is going to come down through the hatches. NVK's been injured. Silence actually gets inside right behind the van, trying to go for the plant down. It looks like it'll go down. And right now, Gohan and Silence are still coming here for the clutch. He's able to get Necrox down. Last one is King George. He's still top floor, working his way down the stairs. Gives away his position with the C4, and NVK is still injured in the hallway. Gohan's making sure that he does get finished off. King George still trying to fight off, figure out what Silence is. Right beneath him is where it's at. He cannot look down. He's not taking the time to do so. And now he's trying to get as much intel as possible, but he's got about 25 seconds to go. Spot Silent, it gets him down! Now it's just going to be a matter of a full health Valkyrie going against an itty-bitty Gohan who's got about 5 health. And here we have it. Moments to go. The gunfire goes on, and it doesn't look like there's going to be enough time. He comes around, King George gets the kill, but unfortunately, there is not enough time, and it's going to be 3-3.
Well played by the attackers there. Getting that diffuser down made all the difference in the world. Forced King George into a position where he had to burn a lot of time getting those kills. I think he kind of knew he couldn't make that defuse at the end, just decided, you know what, I'm going to go for the kill. Deagled him for fun, since I'm obviously not going to be able to defuse this in time. I mean, I liked what King George was doing. He spent a lot of time doing it, though, and ultimately not getting those shots on Gohan meant that Gohan was still left alive at the end, burning up his time.
I think what it perfectly came down to was the game awareness that Gohan had, saying, look, he's upstairs trying to find one. He finally got Silence. Now he's going to come down and he needs to make a decision. Either go for that diffuser or go for me. And King George chose to go for Gohan, and Gohan just played time at that aspect. He didn't care if he died after King George had already started following him through into the middle of the garage. So it was a very, very good mindset there from Gohan.
Definitely a close round altogether, though. That was, when you're on a 3-3, that's the kind of close rounds you want to see, where it's just down to the wire, and it really could go to either team at this point, it seems like, on this particular map. Both teams playing very different, interesting strategies, stuff we haven't seen a lot in previous seasons.
Now we are going to see Bombsight go back downstairs, and I believe Dexterity needs to tweak it a little bit to hold on to this site. They did not do it round number 1, and this is actually going to be their second time holding it down here.
Yeah, it's definitely something they need to make a lot of adjustments for. You saw them opening up some drop hatches, for example, which makes me think they're going to be playing a little more upstairs. They may be playing, pretty much opening every drop hatch, it seems like at this point. Really want to give themselves the flexibility to go upstairs, take control for as long as possible, and then rotate down if they have to, or even just hang out like King George was, upstairs ready to rotate down.
Yep.
So they may have taken a little tip from King George there.
So NVK and Canadian both moving up through. You see the pre-fire from Canadian, making sure that he's not going to get hit from above just yet. And however, they both did get spotted out from the main lobby cam. That's NVK and Canadian both being detected. They now know he's entered in through first floor, What is Panico going to do about it? Because he's here, top floor. Looks like Gohan isn't going to have anything to say about it as NVK picks him off early on in the round. Working his way down those yellow stairs, making sure that they can get this door opened up a lot quicker than Dexterity was unable to previously.
See that barbed wire twitching there. Having control of yellow stairs this early, though, is pretty strong for NVK, especially in terms of making sure they can open up that garage door, which they're doing quite easily now.
NVK trying to go for the quick shot here onto it, and it looks like Astro gets taken out by Young all the way outside. I'm sorry, no, that was above, I want to say. Where did that come from? Young, I'm sorry, he's outside of garage right here. Second wall of garage is going to get opened up. Silence still tucked away back inside of the offices in by pipes. Panico working his way down behind NVK. He's coming up for the flank, but he doesn't get it. The knife from NVK gets Panico down for the count.
That reaction from NVK to smack that melee button.
You still have Cameraman and Silence left alive, a 5-on-2. Still half the round left to go. This is monstrous for CTM. They can win this. They're going to get the momentum forward. Cameraman's going to be one behind. He gets one shot down, and Canadian takes him. Silence able to get NVK for the trade, but he's the last one alive. He gets a second one. He's got to get 3 more. 1 minute and 10 left to go. Silence gets over here inside the security room, working his way over to kitchen, but again, diffuser gets planted. Young dishes on out of the garage, but you're still going to have Canadian right behind the van, waiting to hear if someone's coming up behind him. King George is also at the front of the van, so this is going to be the team coordination, and Canadian gets the kill.
And that puts them on match point, but a close match point. It's a good situation for CTM to be, but not as great as like a 4-2 would be. But showing they know how to dominate that bottom floor. They haven't won it every time. They did lose it last time on defense, but they're really attacking it well. It's definitely a strong site for them to hit. The question is, where are CTM going to go for this final one? Maybe they'll go up? Nope, they're going to go for that middle floor again.
They're going to go for that middle floor, that least known bomb site, the one that has been probably had the least practice on from both sides, or at least from an attacking side. But I did just want to mention that this is the final map of this series.
Yep.
Final map. We are headed into this is overtime potentially, if we can get Dexterity to take round number 8. But nonetheless, the winner of this moves on to the grand final tomorrow to face Era Eternity. And the winner, unfortunately, is going to have to sit the bench.
Yep. If CTM wins this round, we're going to see an all-American, or all-North American, rather, as Dexterity is part of America, an all-North American finalist tomorrow. So a lot rides on this particular round.
We are going to see very similar operator choices that we've seen from CTM the entire time. Canadian's going to stay on that Pulse. King George being that very great placing Valkyrie. And now you still have Young on top of the Rook. So these are all a lot of the same operator choices. It doesn't look like they're changing it up a bit.
No, I mean, I like what they were doing. Like, you set up some people in the middle to play site a little bit. You set up some people upstairs, you set up some people downstairs, you open up a lot of hatches so people can escape from the floor, people can rotate down, things like that. It makes a lot of sense. Like you said before, you really open up a ton of the map. And I think that's what matters most right now, is having all that map flow means you can pick apart and separate the attackers.
All right, so now we're going to have Gohan here coming up to the garage roof right above the corner office, but he heard the window get opened up right above him. Glass went shattering, and Gohan's going to have to get rid of that window as he wants to push on in there very soon, but first he's going to drone it out. And first he's going to have to learn some pitching skills first, because it did not make it into the catcher's glove.
That is going to burn him a bit of time, but he decides, you know what, I'll just work with it, take it around in a different direction, and
gets destroyed and doesn't get the information he needs, but Astro takes advantage of it and gets down Netcrocs.
That's going to be a good kill for the start there, but they still have a lot of work to do to get inside.
Now NVK has managed to make his way downstairs. He was all the way up top, working his way down. He saw the window, or saw the door get opened up a little bit, waiting for some more information before he makes this push. But that's exactly what he wants to do. He wants to push out of those stairwell.
Looks like it's going to be on whether or not Astro can catch him off guard, which he might do with that Twitch drone.
Gohan's gotten himself top floor, trying to open up as much as possible, making sure that there's no one tucked away inside of the hallway between the two bomb sites. But again, King George still up here like he was before. He got the flank before. Will he get it again? More bullets are going to go flying in through. Gohan doesn't quite know where to shoot, so he's just going to blind fire through.
I think this fight's going to be pretty important, deciding who wins. Taking control of this top floor may make a lot of difference unless Canadian can stop any kind of attack on the main floor.
So King George is doing his job right now. He's got the attention of the attackers. He knows that this is where it's going to come down to. Canadian gets a C4 kill onto Astro. But you still have King George top floor wasting a lot of time from the attackers. Canadian underneath here inside of the locker hallway, going up the circle stairs. Are we going to see the engagement, the top floor takeover that we need?
Oh.
Young's going to get another one in NVK. It's a 2-on-4. Last one alive are going to be Cameraman and Panico. Canadian gets back on site from underneath. NVK's also collapsing back onto site. Young's going to be inside of the bathroom as Panico has gotten himself into the B office. But from above, another kill from King George. Last one alive is going to be Cameraman. He's got 5 health and a dream, but he gets 1. He's got 3 more to go against NVK, King George, and Young. Diffuser's going to be on the yellow stairs, but as he gets his way in, he's going to move on and tries to pre-fire, gives away his position. And Young is going to stay inside of here, wait for the collapse, pushes on in. NVK gets the kill, and we're going to be seeing Continuum and Era in the finals.
The first all-North American finals we've seen. It's going to be so intense. You saw such serious, intense play from Continuum. Some totally different strategies now. That's going to give some information to Era, and Era, I'm sure, are already a little more prepared than some of these other teams to fight Continuum, being part of the North American pool, as Kix mentioned earlier. But some of the stuff we saw from Continuum today, totally fresh to us, totally new things. So, as I said before, when you're coming up a team like Dexterity, where you don't know a whole lot about them, bringing different things than what they're going to be able to research makes such a difference as well. So many new ideas we've seen so far in these last 2 days, so many new metas. The next season of Siege is just going to be insane.
It's going to be insane, like you said, and you can see the players on the screen right now. Some are heartbroken and some are just heart-filled, and this is what unfortunately has to happen to one team. One team had to walk away as a winner. One team unfortunately had to walk away not.
I would still walk away with my head high if I was Dexterity, though.
They played their heart out.
Champions, absolutely. I expect to see a lot more from Brazil in the future.
Definitely.
Very excited about that scene, what they're going to do down there, and to see these guys in the future.
I mean, both of these teams, I'll take my hat off to them. They've played their heart out. Continuum came ready to play. A little bit more than Dexterity at the start. We did have that upset of 5-0 in the very beginning, but unfortunately for Dexterity, they came around, they won the second game. You can see the crowd cheering here for Continuum. I mean, everyone here is excited for both of these teams, and unfortunately, like we said, one team just had to walk away not making it to tomorrow's games.
Well, in a situation like this, there is one clear winner every time, and that's the audience. That's us here. Spectacular games.
Yes.
Totally. Just phenomenal. Not what you'd expect. Every time we make a prediction about, oh, it's going to be these back and forth things, whatever, then we see 5-0s, things like that. I mean,
like we saw this morning, we were thinking that the matches were going to be very close between Sisu and Era, and it ended up being 5-1, and then second map flipped on over to a 5-1 the opposite way. So it seems like these teams are very close. They just might have their own maps that they're better on. And that's obviously what it comes down to with these teams, having different strats, preparing at different amounts on different maps. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how tomorrow's going to play out, because I can tell you for a fact, Continuum and Era have scrimmed a lot together.
Yeah.
And now it's just a matter of what have they not been showing? What have they not been showing? So with that, we are going to head over to the main stage. Matt, I hear you have someone with you. Take it away, dude.
Great work as ever, Bloodbath and Emzo. Great work to Santos and the winners, Continuum! Yeah, chest up. Look at you, all like, yeah, done it. You need to let a few more of those out, don't you? I'll hold the mic down here. Give us a scream. Woo! Yeah, I thought so. Canadian, well done. Congratulations. Into the World Championship final. But you were saying to me just now that before that game started, that, as far as you were concerned, was the final.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think that was the grand final for us. I think we're a lot more confident playing Era than just about anyone in the tournament. We know them inside and out. Our map pool lines up well for them, so I'm very confident for the finals.
Era are like, yeah, okay. But you're not being critical of Era there, it's just you know them. You play them, you're ready for them, you feel like, get your good maps in, get their bad maps out, that's all going well. How did you feel then about playing Santos? Did you have any concerns there?
I was a bit nervous because it's the fear of the unknown, right? When you watch them, they don't play very strict, or like they still play organized, they still have strats, they still play as a team and everything, but it's very loose and they have a very basic idea and then they change little things into it every round. So I watch VODs of it and whatnot, and it's like I can't play to hard counter what they do because anything could change at any time.
You had an interesting map veto, both teams. We were surprised on the desk how it worked out. You go into that first map, their pick. You take them 5-0 in that, in the semi-finals of a World Championship. We didn't expect that. I don't think many people expected that. That was quite a big shock. But then you go and lose the next map. So how did you beat them on theirs but then lose them on yours?
Honestly, on our map, I think we made a few just small mistakes. I think like 3 rounds we lost. Like I think it was Astro. Astro just peeked us and like got 2 kills out of nowhere. And, like one time, like as soon as I threw my smoke, he peeked me. And then also, I think 2 rounds he ran in the B door and killed 2 of us. I think it was small mistakes. I think for the most part, our strats were solid on it. It was just small mistakes where they would get the numbers advantage because of it, and then it was kind of hard to fight back.
You're also getting a lot of support here from people. Canadian, is there anything you want to say to this amazing crowd who've been cheering you on?
Thank you. This is honestly the most surreal experience ever for me.
You got to feel that, right? We have an All-NA World Championships final. It's like baseball, isn't it? That's how baseball works in World Championships. All right then, Continuum against Error, bringing the 6th Invitational to a close tomorrow on Finals Day. Well done again, Continuum! Let's have another look at that game.
What an impressive second semi-final that was then, as Matt said, as Akasu said. From a first map on Bank at a 5-0 sweep for Continuum, a lot of people, and myself included, okay, this is what we're getting. This is where this is going to go. Let's look towards our grand final tomorrow. But Dexterity just switched it right back up and really came to fight on border.
Yeah, I mean, you like you said, it was a 5-0 on the map that was picked by Dexterity for Continuum, and we set the momentum. And then going into the second map, it was a victory for Dexterity, and that just goes to show that, yes, Continuum won the series overall, but Dexterity really did deserve to be here, and they put up an amazing show for it. Yeah,
as I say, second map really exploded. Then we head on to Consulate, as you see it on screens right now, which really went back and forth and back and forth. And to be fair, there were some, I don't want to say rookie mistakes, but some mistakes we didn't expect to see out of these caliber of teams going into the earlier rounds of it. Things like
that, for example.
Yeah, things like that, for example, as there on the screen. But like trying to play a garage play with a Thermite
and not
taking control of the piano, not getting the garage open because you can't deal with the bandit, and not dealing with the batteries. There's no roamers on the map. Everyone's downstairs, but you've just let them do what they like against the garage door.
Yeah, specifically on Consulate Garage, we've been seeing that same exact thing over and over again throughout this year, throughout today on Consulate. Teams that just haven't been able to get the garage open, haven't been able to establish themselves with that to get people out of behind White Van. And the one team that Continuum did win on that attack for Basement Garage, they got the garage open. They opened it up with 2 Thermites.
Yeah, so now that we're all back, welcome back.
Thank you.
like we did touch on briefly with the highlights where they were Consulate, so I want to talk more Bank now that it's like here.
Yeah.
As I said, we saw Dex pick it, we saw them play it. I don't think they've ever played it before. Like, they did not look like a team which has a plan in mind for that map.
So that is
it's not
just
like
so
they knew what they were
strange.
doing on that map. It was really weird.
How
It's confusing that they picked it and then they won the map that
that Continuum pick. Yeah, that's what I was saying.
But, I mean,
to Canadian,
when
you
you
got
got the
each
Continuum
other.
pick, that doesn't surprise us as much, right? We saw them
Yes.
play body stats. Why we thought
But why
Continuum were
didn't
going
they
to ban
pick it, though?
That's what they were going to go. Because maybe, like, once they saw the ban face, they were confident, all right, well, they're going to have to play it. Even if they pick, say, Consulate second and we lose that, then we have to play Bank third, and we're confident after that map. So we don't have to pick it. It's getting played anyway.
You could aim for a strong finish
So they go for the bank,
instead of
yeah.
if you think you're going to win 2 out of the 3 remaining maps. Interesting way of arranging it. You could go, well,
They
let's put the
didn't have-
first one in we're not sure about, and
Yeah,
if
they
that
got
doesn't
2 more
work-
chances.
they didn't have any idea what to do against CTM's Bank. They just didn't. They
They
couldn't.
were just lost all over the place. We saw them attacking the basement level with
They're on
2
the top
players
floor.
rappelling into the top floor
Yeah.
at 20 seconds to
What
go.
are they doing
Like,
on the top
that's,
floor?
That's not even like Continuum's Bank. That's just straight.
Any
You're
bank.
never
So
going to win
is-
around doing that.
Are those unusual or weird strats going wrong, or is that random playing when you just don't know what to
That's random playing when you just don't know what you're doing. There's no strats involved, and you don't have a general idea. You don't even have that general idea. That Canadian was talking about how Dexterity, they have an idea of what they're doing when they go into each match.
Yeah.
On Bank, they had no clue. They were just kind of like, let's get into the building and then challenge them you know? But it wasn't working out.
And the same thing went the other way on defense. It's like not only were they just struggling to get in time and kill anyone.
They weren't holding basic angles.
They weren't holding the basic angles. They tried some weird stuff with opening the bomb hatches and playing up there themselves and late rotate. And Continuum just walked in and just killed all of them one after the other. Like they didn't lose any firefights. Like attacking on basement for Bank is getting easier and easier, but as an attacking team, even if you win, you're going to go in, you're going to lose 3, sometimes 4 players because you'll go in and you'll trade back and forth, and you'll trade back and forth, and your last man will do a lot of the work. But they were walking in, and their first guys in were getting all the kills, and no one else needed to do anything. Like, just I don't know. It was just a really, really weird map all around.
And didn't like the first round was over before they even went inside, which is kind of that's unheard of at any decent level, let alone
And that's the same thing that happened on Border. It was 4K from NVK, and none of the attackers actually managed to get inside on that particular round. They all died outside.
Yeah, like everyone knows Dex. We've talked about it before. Is known for being aggressive. They played Euronics yesterday, also known for being aggressive, and they adapted to that. They still weren't ready for the level of aggressive from NVK. I mean, not just a Continuum, just from NVK.
Just the one player.
Like no one this weekend has been outside of the map as much as he has in that first 2 rounds, and they really paid the price for it, and he tore them apart. But they handled it better there than they handled the Bank play because they recovered, they came back, they leveled the scoreline out, and they started to put on a real fight and eventually win that Border map.
Yeah.
A great contest here at the Six Invitational. Not at all really what we expected in some ways. I thought we'd get a bigger, stronger performance from the beginning and see better play from Sandoz, but I think they can go away very proud that they got to that semi-final stage.
Oh, absolutely.
And how strongly they recovered after a really big thrashing as a start there on a series. So I hope we'll see a lot more of them. I look forward to seeing what the Latin American scene does over the next year. We know it's already big. We know Rainbow Six Game is huge over in Latin America. So thanks to everybody who's joining us from there as well. Keep it up. Keep going to the stadiums. Keep playing the game. And if you're not playing the game, then join us. It's free weekend time. It's completely free this weekend, and it's 50% off to buy on all platforms too. So make sure you're enjoying Rainbow Six Siege when you're not enjoying this Six Invitational. We are going to have another panel coming up now. This is going to be about Coastline, the new map which is coming to you in just a couple of days' time as part of Operation Velvet Shell. So it's Coastline, and then after that, we're going on to Xbox with our semi-finals. First up, Allez, Baguettes! We're going to have some action from Supremacy taking on Elevate. That's going to be coming up after this panel, and that's going to be coming up really soon after this.